Yeah, my analyst friends, thank you so much. And we are joined here again for match number 2 tonight with the esteemed Chief and Vial, who are going to be casting for you lovely people out there in the Twitch chat. And we have an amazing game coming up. It's between Lycus Empire, the original NSO Academy roster, who just recently got picked up by a new org, and then the Visionary roster, who is the Canadian sided Visionary roster, so different from what we saw last season. So guys, welcome. What are you thinking?
Hello, my friend. It is so good to be back at Season 4, Beat the Hurricane. That's exactly what we're going to try to do here. Honestly, both these rosters are phenomenal. All 10 players have the potential of going to that T2 level. And, well, I'm expecting to see nothing but phenomenal play out of both of them. Now, both these teams have had some roster moves over the past few weeks. We've saw Lycus Empire have the biggest roster moves, making, well, 3 players off the roster, keeping their core 2 plus their sub and coach. And then Visionary has gone through these entry fraggers, and we saw Momo, and now it's going to be Mai filling that role. So we're going to have to see how Mai comes in. I know he's an underage gunner compared to Momo, who's been an industry vet, so we're going to have to see how that pans out.
Yeah, but Chief, one thing that we always like to mention is the other side of the coin, which is this team of Lycus, and oh baby, do they look hot. I am so excited for this matchup because this just, I believe they're the old NSO, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct, they are.
They are.
Yes, and let's just be real. This team is filled with gunners. They know exactly how to ball. They are ready to pull out a dub today, and honestly, I'm expecting a huge just back and forth battle. I wouldn't say that we see one team take a 2-0 here. I'd be very shocked if we see one team take a 2-0.
Yeah, that's probably true. I doubt we'll see a 2-0. Now, there's so many question marks. We keep talking about these roster changes. We'll actually talk more about the teams down the road. We're just waiting for the map veto to go through. Obviously, a lot of deliberation, and that's actually to be expected. We have 2 unknown entities truly because, well, they've been changing rosters. But let's actually talk about the teams in question. It's going to be the legendary CL team hailing from Canada. That's going to start us off first, and that's going to be Visionary.
Visionary,
yeah,
indeed.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go
ahead.
Oh man, I was just taking over there for a second. That was my bad. But yeah, Visionary guys, this roster is fantastic. You may or may not, as Chief had mentioned, seen them in CL before in the past, and they are coming back with a vengeance to the T3 scene, as we saw in the qualifiers. So Visionary, as I mentioned earlier on in the day, did have to requalify because they had such a substantial roster change from season 3. But after everything was said and done, they took 4th place overall in the open qualifiers. So if that is not telling you something about this team, I don't know what will, because these guys are gunners for sure. We have, I believe it is going to be Abadu taking over as the IGL for them. So that is a little bit of a change from Asian, who was the original team principal and was playing with them from the qualifiers. Now, taking a look at the new Lycus Empire roster here, Defiance as their team captain. They've picked up quite a few amazing players. Obviously, Braxton is a well-known name in the community. Everybody else, honestly, on this roster is a big name in this community. And this roster took 2nd place in the open qualifiers. So, Vial, what do you guys have to say about these 2 teams right here in particular?
Well, I love Defiance. And I'm just gonna Defiance is one of the best IGLs, even though he's not IGLing for this roster anymore. He is the player that, well, sometimes he'll be flying out a window, the next moment he's gonna be prone in the middle of the hallway. You have no idea what he's going to be doing, and because of that unpredictability, he is just infinitely better than some of these players that we see in all across different levels.
Yeah, but let's not forget about their hard support, which is going to be Braxton, another big name that we tend to hear from time to time. And while he is going to be on your support, let's be real, he can hard carry depending on what team or what the team is doing and the map he's on. Because sometimes we see him drop double digits while his fraggers aren't able to do much. So I'm very excited. Like we said, the 2 to keep our eyes on, I think, are going to have to be Defiance and Braxton.
Honestly, I think it's going to be the battle of the hard supports. Braxton and then Abadu. Both of those individuals are so strong. They're the rocks for their teams. And when you have players like Defiance and Mai, who are going to be your really aggressive gunners, when they fall earlier on, because they will, Defiance has a rule. He said, My goal is to get a kill or die every round. That is my goal. If I actually succeed there, that means I am doing my job. So we're going to see a lot of deaths coming from him. But we've also seen a lot of entries from him in different leagues. He has been one of the highest pluses out of anybody.
Yeah, really valuable points, everybody. I'm honestly, I love the feedback that you guys always give, which is why it's a pleasure to desk host, because I get to talk with all the amazing casters with all the amazing input that they have to offer. And you guys are definitely no exception to that. But taking a look, so obviously these standings are a little bit older. We do have Wichita Wolves that is taking the tentative first place spot in the league with 5 points, because as our new point system works, you get 3 points for a straight up map win, 2 points for an overtime win, 1 for overtime loss, and nothing for a straight up loss. So Wichita Wolves has 5 points and it will be sitting at the top. And then First Attempt did get 1 point, so they are going to be sitting up there in a tentative second place for now. But as we know, we have an amazing lineup of games throughout the remainder of this week. We have 5 total matches left, and Lycus Visionary is just going to be that next step tonight. And what are you guys thinking here? I know I asked this question earlier to Blue and to Matt, but if you guys had to pick a team right now that is going to take that early lead, or potentially take, even if you want to look out that far, that first place spot, who are you looking at right now to potentially do that? If you even want to answer that, you can always, whatever.
I just want to say, Synthetic with the Has pickup, that kid is also a gunner. One of the young talent they're going to be seeing throughout the course of his career. He's just starting, and you will definitely see him throughout. So that's the team I want to highlight. Of course, some of our OGs, Redux Rising, the new Visionary, and what used to be HC, which is now Pride.
Yeah, we can't count any of these teams. Let's be real. It's week number 1. Some of these teams could pull something out of the hat that we've never seen before. But like I think Matt said it before, I think we can never count Wichita out. They won the last season. They won the season before. I guarantee you they're going to want to 3P. I'd be surprised if they didn't want to come back in 3P. So they're going to be out here gunning for their lives. And like we saw, they were able to take those 2 dubs, or rather out of the potential 6 points, they were able to nab 5. So that's pretty good here if we're talking about starting off on the right foot.
Well, let's go through these predictions. And my friend, that is quite one-sided. I see one team that's Lycus. And I have to justify my point. Both these teams have had roster moves, but at the time, Lycus, they didn't have any roster moves. They still had Big Beezer on the roster. They had Search as well, and that team was unstoppable. And then now, I feel like all of our predictions are just question marks, because we just don't know, because, well, there's so many roster changes.
Yeah, and I guarantee you it's going to be a toss-up due to the roster changes. But if we still look at the rosters like they are today, like we just saw, I think this still stands pretty strong, because Lycus, they are just filled with absolute gunners. They could potentially be able to play just a lot better. And if I was on here, I'd have to say my pick would also have to be Lycus, because it just seems like they could be playing better.
Now, at the time I threw my vote down range, Visionary was a different team. They still had their manager playing, so it's almost impossible to say, because technically Visionary has a better pedigree, at least with their current roster, than Lycus. So we're going to have to, again, really see how both these teams play, because there are so many question marks in this series, and honestly, I'm just eager to see these 2 teams battle to the death.
Oh, me too, definitely, Chief and VL. It's going to be a battle for the ages. And I mean, I know that you guys were saying, obviously, the predictions do look a little one-sided, but yeah, like you mentioned, it will be a very close series. I would expect it to potentially, I would expect it to probably go to overtime on both maps. I was about to say go to overtime for sure on both maps, but I can't really say that until obviously we get into the game. But I know for sure that we will see long maps here. So I'm interested to see exactly what the bans are going to turn out to be here. Looking again at the operator pick statistics, it's always good to check these out here. It sort of shows you where the metas do lie. And Chief, I know you're a big fan of talking analytics here. So at least from the attacker standpoint, what do these picks here show you as very open-minded caster, you know?
Utility consumption simulator. Zofia, Ashe, yeah, that's basically the entire meta all in 2 operators. now a lot of you may be asking, where on earth is Ace? Well, he wasn't in play last season, so he will be now. You'll be see him. He was in qualifiers, and he'll be opening up this week. So that's why Thermite, Habana, and Maverick are the only Heart Breachers available.
Alrighty, Chief. Yeah, thank you so much for that one. Maybe we can go ahead and take a look at the defenders well and sort of see the counters to that meta that you were describing there. I know for sure Jaeger's up there. There it is. My screen was lagging, so it took me a second. But oh my lord, the 96% man himself, Jaeger. If that doesn't show you that meta is such a big thing right now, I don't know what will. And I mean, Wamai being up there as well as the third highest pick defender from last season, my lord. And I think especially with this season coming up, it's going to be even more impactful, especially with the throwable hard breach charges that Ace brings to the table. You know, if he's still available and does not get banned out, which is a very real possibility in comp, you know, Jaeger can catch those. So
Yeah, that's a great point.
honestly, I think he's going to be played even more potentially.
And honestly, Wamai has a low pick rate, in air quotes, a low pick rate at 50%. That's
Sure.
because he's been banned the other 50%. And now some strategies don't have Wamais in them, but honestly, with Utility Consumption Simulator in full effect, it's almost mind-boggling to not bring those two. And we've actually seen some new metas, or some old metas come back. That's Mute Mozzie in effect, coupled with Utility Consumption Simulator. It's just basically Oppression Simulator.
Oh, definitely. And oh, look, Vial, welcome back, my friend. So sorry about that. I know there were some issues there, but we're back at it again. And oh, look at that, Chief! We're casting a Consulate game.
Woo!
The man himself. He always gets so hyped for this. But Vial, what do you think of the map choices for sure here?
I mean, we're going back to Clubhouse, which, I mean, it makes sense. A lot of teams elect to play here.
Mhm.
And Consulate, I can't say I'm not surprised. I'm very excited to cast Consulate. It's been a while since I've seen Consulate, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. I mean, the last time we saw Khan was back during the qualifiers, I think. Or no, we didn't even have it during qualifiers. As Wichita Wolves Grand Final is map number 4, the one that went into overtime. I think it was round 20 of overtime or round 18 OT where it ended. That was a phenomenal showing. And honestly, this is definitely the work of Jason, the visionary owner and manager. He loves this map. I've kind of bribed him to bring out this map. And this map can turn into a kill box. But the thing is, it really shows who's a good IGL and who's not. Because you'll go for an admin extension, you'll be trying to enter through as an attacker, and you realize all their utilities over there. So then you do a rotate, maybe you do a bathroom extension, or maybe you do a yellow or a west windows repel. You have so many options as an attacker, and you can do these on-the-fly IGLing calls that can change the entire course of the map.
Oh yeah, Consulate. I love that map for that exact same reason. I mean, it is so very dynamic. I know a lot of people just don't like it for some reason, and I honestly have to question why. I mean, there's a lot more maps in the competitive map pool that people can, you know, sort of hate on more than Consulate. But I guess it could be due to the fact that it can be a window repel simulator 2020. You just hop up, especially if there's a Blackbeard on the board too. You can sort of play those cheeky angles with the bulletproof shield and all those fun things. But you know, Vial, what's your opinion? Do you like Consulate as a player? You know, if you're out there in ranked or comp or whatever it is, do you enjoy playing it, or what do you think?
Well, Consulate is personally my second favorite map, so I would say yes. But in terms of competitive, I would say no, because this map sometimes can be pretty rinse and repeat depending on the site you play on. If you're playing on the downstairs, it's typically all the same ways that are usually attacked. And we're starting to see more of an influx come in from I believe it's from the CCTV side or security side or admin side, sorry, from that side of the map, which I'm personally very happy about, because now we're seeing kind of the new meta take form on Consulate. People are now trying to adjust their strategies rather than it just be all the same type. And that top floor can still be very dangerous, and I don't know, it's really sometimes just feels like rinse and repeat depending on the team.
That's a good point. And honestly, like, CEO has fallen out of the meta. It's just impossible to hold that bomb site. You're calling it window repel simulator, and that's truly what this map has become on the upstairs. And because of that, we saw the primary bomb site go over to press, as well as Split entering the meta. A lot of teams were terrified of this bomb site because it's on 2 floors. How on earth do you hold it? Well, you basically turn the floor into Swiss cheese, utilize nitro cells, and you just hope the attackers aren't able to plant on some elevated surface.
Yeah, very awesome points all around, you guys. Like I keep saying, man, I swear I enjoy casting and being a desk host for everybody here, because I swear y'all take it to a whole nother level that is just phenomenal. Seriously, I know, Chief, you always make the comment that you only have 3 brain cells, but I swear they're working on overdrive. I don't know what it is, man, but you're juicing those things. So, oh my God, I don't know what.
It's all the
really
water
don't
I
know.
drink. I say they're extra hydrated for the day, right? So when I'm casting you, I'm just chugging water down, and that just makes like my brain cells like inflated. More ATPs going to the cells. The sodium potassium pump is just working even better. So that's
Yo,
exactly what's happening right
the
now.
mitochondria is the powerhouse of Chiefs casting. Like,
Tomorrow, Chief's just gonna pass out every single
Just
day after he casts.
oh my God, I cracked myself up, guys. Oh jeez. All right, what a way to start season 4, everybody. I'm literally like laughing so much I'm crying on stream. Okay, woo, let's go. Oh wow, Pog. All right, back to the player cards.
And if you're
Oh,
wondering
Lord.
what the delay is, one of the players is still not connected to the lobby. Our second time today, it seems like Ubi servers are just like, hey, you want to start season 4 off? Ha! Good luck with that. So we're going to go back over these players. Now, I'm going to highlight Panic, for example. He actually left this roster for a few months. He went to Canada, or he's from Canada. I'm just trolling them. Anyways, but he went up there to coach one of the CL teams. I believe it was Oblivion. Yes, it was Oblivion. He was there for a few months. He was trying to build that roster, but he got the call to come back to his home team and actually, well, participate and play and gun once again.
And it's very exciting to see him back on the roster, because if he can gun as well as a lot of times that we saw him do when he was on former rosters, it's going to be very exciting to see if he can pull it off. And kind of like Defiance in a way, he's going to have to pull out some big guns. They're going to be pointing and clicking, and like we say, if they're able to do that, then, you know, who cares? At the end of the day, if you get 5 kills in a round, you win.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Hourly is a player who's been in the T3 scene for quite a bit. I've never actually seen him play together with his entire 5-man roster, but from what I've heard through the grapevine, he's a phenomenal support player, and he's going to be, well, a great complement to Braxton. And it looks like the
Alrighty.
majority of my names have
Oh. No, that was
back.
my bad. I'm back. Yeah, no, I was listening to May right now because we were sort of talking about what's going on with players loading in and things like that. We are getting ready to go, and I think we might actually be pretty close. We're close, but we're not entirely fully ready yet. We're still fixing a couple things with some players, as is tradition on this first day apparently. But in any case, we'll be there shortly. But honestly, it's been a phenomenal first day so far. I am very happy to see what the remainder of this season is going to bring here. I can't say much more than that. This is going to be a spicy season of gameplay, and we are going to send it over into the first map, Consulate. Chief, enjoy your favorite map. Viala, you and have fun too, and I'll see you back here at halftime.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be the start of Season 4, powered by HyperX. It is going to be the second series of the day on my favorite map, and we're going to have to see how the new meta fits in. Ace has been nerfed recently. His Selmas only go down twice instead of 3 times, and that might affect him on this map. A lot of teams are really relying him on that garage take. He's seen a lot of bans, so he might not be taken down. It might be a thermite ban in his stead, but we're going to have to find out as the first ban rolls on through. Visionary with the reverse Uno card is going to say, haha, no ban for us.
Okay. I don't know what to say about that. If that's actually, the teams were mixed up, so we're actually going to be hitting a quick rehost button. We want to make sure that everything is set for these players to kick it off, because we don't want them to kick it off that wrong, do we, Chief?
And Nash is going to join us back, but let's talk about
yes.
Ace for a bit. right? Ace has been a phenomenal operator, particularly on this map. We've seen a lot of Habana in play, at least when this map was the OG form of it. And you had to open up the top floor at range. You couldn't just walk up and thermite projectile, well, because you'll get swing from long, and that would be your death instantaneously. So Habana filled that niche role. But now Ace has moved into the meta, and you can utilize Ace in the basement, and you can also utilize him on top floor, which is why he came in as your primary hard breacher. But now that he's been slightly nerfed, we're going to have to see how he actually fits into the overall macro meta.
I think Ace is definitely going to have a big place in the upcoming meta with Rainbow Six. With the direction that everything is going in terms of this game, I would say that Ace is probably... Honestly, I would give Ubisoft credit. I think Ace is a beautiful operator. I mean, I know there's a lot of controversy around a lot of the recent operators, especially looking at Malusi, and especially with a couple of the leaks that have come out about the season, what is this going to be, season 3, season 4 operator that's coming out next, the Defender.
Yep.
There's a lot of controversy around that, but I think they did Ace right. You know, I think they picked exactly what needed to come to this game. I think that we needed a fourth hard breacher for sure. There's just not enough diversity in that regard. And the fact that it is able to be caught by Jaeger, it is able to be caught by Wamai, you know, there's a lot of ways to counter it. I think it's very, very balanced, and especially after the newest patch, taking away one of the extra charges that's within the Selma, you know, I don't know, I went on a little bit of a rant there, but...
So how about the change of the T5 being taken away from Malusi and now over to Oryx? And that might not sound like a big deal, and we saw her run a little bit in that first series, but sometimes, especially in ranked, you just want to play operators that have a lot of fragging potential, and then now with that MP5 without an ACOG and no ranged optics, I don't know if a lot of people are going to be willing to give her a go, at least on the ranked side, but here in comp, I'm still hashtag lose a wub.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if in competitive Siege we see Malusi's pick rate really drop significantly from what it already is. If anything, I still expect it to go up simply because of that utility that she brings. She brings probably some of the best utility as basically Ella 2.0, as I like to call her. So I think it's a very strong case to just keep bringing her, even if the gun change happened.
That's a good point, my friend. And honestly, sometimes you just want to click heads with your favorite gun. The T5 is that, but also in rank, we see a lot of individuals play operators with guns that aren't as strong. The UMP is a great, showing of that. And some people say the M590 SMG11 combo can be a little bit weak, but if you truly believe that, you need to play more Siege, my friend.
Yeah, well, honestly, I know that you guys, I'm sort of backtracking a little bit. MP5, I don't know. I think after you lose the scope of the ACOG, with all the recent changes, the MP5 sort of did get nerfed, so in a big way. So that being said, I'm not as big of a fan of Malusi anymore, but the gadget's too good to pass up.
Exactly.
But it's looking like we still have just a little bit to wait on this game here. So you guys are going to see our beautiful faces for just a while longer. But yeah, so kicking it back over to the prediction screen here, you guys, let's take a look at the remainder of this week. So obviously we've been talking about Lycus and Visionary for a long time. So let's take a look at maybe what tomorrow's going to offer. I know that we've got some really big games coming up. We've got In Control versus 303 for the first game of tomorrow. That's going to be at around 5:50 Eastern time. So you guys definitely want to tune in for that one. I think even though everyone is predicting In Control, if you go back and you look at a couple of the plays that 303 made during the qualifiers, if those VODs are still on Twitch, we're getting them onto YouTube very, very soon for the qualifiers as well. But if you went back and watched that 303 game, they are so strategic, I would say. Like the way that they play is very strong. So even against a top team like In Control is in T3, I think 303 will still put up a really big fight. So it'll be a very close game again here. So, but what are you guys thinking?
I'm still In Control Nation. I'm going to stand by what I said. INC looks unstoppable. They sometimes have faults when they get in their own heads. INC is a mechanically gifted team, but it looks like all 10 players have returned back to the lobby. So let's see if we can actually get this game started. There it is. There's our map. It is map number 1. I highly doubt we'll see any no bans, honestly, but I'm still thinking Thermite is going to be your primary ban.
I think it could still be Ace because while, like we spoke about before, Ace was while he did take a huge hit, he can still be very potent on an attack, and it's actually going to be Capitao coming out as your first ban. And honestly, I'm kind of a big fan of Capitao being banned now.
He has seen a lot of changes over the past few months. He's a phenomenal operator at denying areas, especially high D holes, which there are plenty on this map. You just have to land those crossbows true, put the Bane of Rainbow Six Siege. Thatcher will no longer be a effect. And Mira has also been an operator that has seen a lot of bans on this map. You can play her down in security, and you couple that with a Maestro, it can be unstoppable.
Coupled with him, indeed. And the only question is, what is this first man going to roll out? And as we see, it's going to be Malusi. So no matter what that utility, these teams do not want to deal with them. And that last man going to be probably the most important. It will be, I'm trying to guess, most likely a Valkyrie, because that makes a lot of sense, especially for this map.
And there she is. The run-out queen herself will be shut down. And when no man is left unbanned, Valkyrie tends to be a very sensible ban. And this is going to nerf Lycus just slightly, since Defiance loves his Valkyrie, and that is currently his main. So sadly, that will no longer be a factor. But he can run Warden if he wants to use it MPX. Now, what bomb site will we be going to first? Again, CEO has fallen out of the meta, and a lot of teams really rely on press room lobby simply because, well, it is one of the best sites. It actually, I think, is like the 5th best site in the entire competitive map pool.
Yeah, and I'm really just excited to see what we're all going to be bringing out here, because they're starting off on lobby and press. I don't think we've ever seen teams start here, honestly.
Actually, this is pretty common. It's actually EU LATAM style strategy where you start on this bomb site because actually it's really defender sided. It allows you to manipulate this bomb site any way you choose. You couple that with deployable shield meta. You can be playing an anti. You can be even playing as far back into yellow, Zulu, either in green or top of banana. Honestly, the world is your oyster with this bomb site, and it's really up to your creativity. Now, you're going to have to hold this bomb site vertically. That is most likely through CEO or projector. And you can set up these very long, exaggerated lines of sight either through toilets or through projector itself, kind of looking at this long angle. You can actually already see those long lines of sight being created.
10 seconds left before insertion.
It makes a lot of sense. It gives you just more ground to cover, especially from a very protected area like that bathroom. And we're also still going to be seeing some of that vertical presence being brought out here. And Sensei, it looks like he wants to get very aggressive here in this first matchup. Maybe he finds himself a pick just by waiting up here. And I think that's exactly what he wants to do. He might even hear a sound cue, or he might just run out. Let's see it very quickly. He's going to be seeing it. He sees the rappel. Will he spot the head? No, he's not able to find it just yet, and he misses just barely on the pick of Panic the Ash, and he just keeps peeking around looking for somebody to hit, but no, he's gonna try and fall back, loses a lot of HP due to, but the man we spoke on, he found himself an early pick here.
An early pick, but will there be more? Is good Defiance coming to the rescue. Sensei is going to continue to overextend, but get shut down. My off-screen is going to find a kill of his own, and like his Empire, they're getting off far too aggressive, but it's no longer working out well for them as they're going to lose the entire east side of the map. Now they are going to have to continue to work their way through tellers, though, if they want to be successful.
Well, Chief, it seems we've had a bit of a switch up here, and now I'm in. Rather than Vial, unfortunately, he just didn't get to have his day in the sun. But you'll get to listen to me, and we get to take a look at some of this wonderful action going on here. So help me roll back the clock and tell me what has transpired so far.
Well, right now is a lot of aggression coming through by Lycus. They want to hold admin as long as possible. It was working out well for them for a time being, but they overextended and overstayed their welcome, and because of that, they lost some of their best fraggers and the majority of their lethality, but they're still in a good position to win out this round.
All right. I could see that happening. Obviously, Lycus being in the man disadvantage, it was going to be a bit more of a struggle. On a lobby defense, I think the man advantage plays an incredibly huge factor now with Call going down as well. It makes it just so much more difficult. An Ash breaching round will be shot in, though actually doesn't confirm the kill just yet. I don't know if that was absorbed by ADS or simply missed. Looks like Call was able to crawl on back. and get himself into the fight once more. Hourly with a nice little bit of teamwork there, reviving him and putting him back into the matchup. Free fire coming out from Badger Ash, rushing deep through the bomb site. Gotta be careful of that vertical play above, though. Psycho could just as well deny this plant and send the round out of the realm of possibility, but he'll go down himself. Good coverage from Badger. The diffuser goes down, and so too falls the Maestro from Abadu. And Panic cleans things up well as Visionary start off with a rockin' start.
It seemed like polar opposite strategies coming out by Lycus. They started off far too aggressive, and then they were far too passive. They gave the attackers far too much room to maneuver as soon as they lost their two primary entries. And then, well, that's one of the problems about this bomb site is you have to have control of the round, and it's particularly here in Anti where you see the replays happening. And the Alda holding a very tight angle, but you have to be holding that angle with a deployable shield. Because if you aren't, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. An attacker from a very long angle is going to go for the wide swing and punish you because of Peeker's advantage.
Certainly not a position that you would like to be in, given that. And looks like Lycus not going to reattempt the lobby defense, will be headed down to the basement instead. And also a notable difference, we don't have the alibi that we saw in the round prior. Alibi, I feel like, is an operator where she can only really be played in absence of other operators, seeing as we've got the Valkyrie and the Melusi ban. I think there is a bit of a spot in the lineup at Lycus to bring the alibi, but it's kind of up to a certain team. I believe it was a game with the new DVX roster I casted the other day. They said the precondition for them running the alibi was that the Wamai had to be banned, otherwise that you just would not have the opportunity to play that operator here. But Lycus have a big info game. We've got the Mozzie, so this makes me think we're going to see some kind of a roam top floor, try and waste a bit of time on the clock.
And that's the strategy you have with this map. You can bunker down and hold garage for as long as possible, or you can do a cafe style strategy where you put a lot of manpower on multiple floors, try to snipe away drones, and then slowly work your way back to your bomb site. That's called a stage roam. Now, the thing with the stage roam is you have to be very careful to not put yourself on an island and not put your back against a wall, because if you have no option of rotating away, well, that's just free roam for the attackers to basically just punish you outright, because they know you have no option other than getting aggressive, and they're just going to waste their time setting up their crossfires and just go for the execute.
Well, if there was a roam, Visionary moving quick to shut it down. Psycho forced to rotate, dropping the hatch. Panic on the Ash, as well as Mal the Nomad, pushing down long haul and forcing all of these roamers to evacuate. Visionary moving quick here in this bottom floor defense is a good sign. When you stall out on the attack for Consulate, that leads you into these terrible close quarter gunfight situations, which the defenders have so much of an advantage in. But with Visionary shutting down the roam, closing off these flanks, and now approaching the bomb site itself, this should be a fairly good start for their execute.
They still have plenty of drones to make this happen, but they're going to have to do their due diligence and understand exactly where the defenders are holding and how to break it down. It's going to stem from their vertical destruction, which really hasn't come through yet. That is the most important thing to have in this lobby, and you need to have control of lobby, and that's going to get exploited as panics are going to fall early on, and we're going to still see Mozzie roaming upstairs. He has his preset drones giving him plenty of information. He knows Badger is about to work his way in through Big Bathroom. He hears the audio cue. The wide swing's going to come through, but the G8 is just better, and that's going to be off-site pressure shut down.
Trading back that earlier loss, now the Mozzie and the Ash 1-for-1 in the engagement. Shield spotted out here. Visionary has started to kind of roll things back. They're not moving as fast as what we saw on the top floor take now as we move down towards the basement, and that has a lot to do with the fact that Lycus Empire are refusing to concede some parts of the bottom floor. Psycho will go down. Badger, a double kill for him. The G8A1, such a very powerful weapon. Guns down anyone you put in its wake. Evil Eye spotted out. You'll have to remove that if you want to go for this plant here. A big factor in the intel and utility game. Should we see Abadu try to move in through the garage panels, it's going to be a difficult one. Only a small section of the wall open there, and with smoke canisters and, well, plenty of defender guns to train onto it. Should be able to take out that hard breacher before they're able to move up. Call trade things onto Mal, but Badger, a third kill, a quad! Can he find the ace? Only the Maestro remaining, swinging the hallway. It seems like the last defender's position. Well known. Slasher could find the kill, though he'll actually go down, and now Hourly taken out by Abadu. No ace for the IQ, but Visionary with a very solid round and a great cleanup there at the end.
Canadians starting off strong as they have full domination of the map. Now, they were starting to skip steps, but who needs to skip steps when you can just click hands? Badger does a wonderful job of that. We constantly talk about individuals and teams like Homeland. When their strategy begins to fail, when they start to make mistakes, they just have an individual go crazy. And there he is once again, Badger doing what he does best, clicking heads. And, well, this is showing like Visionary has a mastery of this map.
That's certainly one way to put it here. Lycus struggling to find anywhere to stand in either of these bomb sites. A repeat of Cafeteria and Garage will be on the cards. Hourly 6-picking from the Maestro and over to the Cade. So less of a focus on the Evil Eyes here on a repeat of the bottom floor bomb site is a bit unusual. Maestro plays a huge factor in denying the plant, but the glaring issue was last round the plant didn't really mean much. Visionary pushed in, they won their one-on-one gunfights and really just played out of their minds. And so maybe this is the right change. Bring the Cade, bring those electricals, be able to shut down the garage wall pressure from the aces we saw in that previous round, and try to remain at least somewhat confident, at least somewhat safe and protected within your sight.
The thing with basement executes is it's very difficult to get into the bomb site, but once you're in, you're going to have full control of the bomb site because the defenders are now going to be the ones pushing out of their hiding holes, their little rat spots, and into the waiting arms of ARs of the attackers. And as soon as that wall falls, the defense needs to have a contingency plan with dealing with it. And that's the problem. Lycus Empire really didn't have a contingency plan. Their plan was just to wait back into cafeteria, into security, and hope the attackers just get a little bit too aggressive. They weren't getting aggressive themselves, and that's something you're going to have to do on this map as a defender.
Definitely agree with you there, and I think Lycus have somewhat of an idea of that. We saw kind of a, I don't know, I want to say frantic, kind of scared roam last round, but it just gets shut down immediately. What a great angle from Slasher, watching down 90. He knew that Jaeger was going to have to rotate sometime, and with somebody on the projector balcony, well, there's only really one way he can do that. Sensei, after his teammate's death, falls off from the duo roam and returning to Turtle inside the bomb site again. Visionary really aggressive and really smothering the attempt at a roam from Lycus. There's no opportunity for Lycus to kind of sit here, burn the clock, make sure that you're hiding, you know, you're wasting that time, you're not giving up these engagements. Visionary are ready to take them at any moment, and if you give them that opportunity, they're going to clamp down on you.
Now, honestly, this is one of the few maps that doesn't have utility consumption simulator be a big factor. It's definitely not a cafe-style map, but the attackers are still going to have to deal with utility, and it's mainly going to be the off-site pressure utility coming either from Mozzie Pass or Mute Jammers. Now, the Mute Jammers currently aren't in effect in this round, but teams are still kind of running that meta that we saw a few months ago before utility consumption simulator really came on through. The attackers are going to begin to start their vertical destruction, trying to break down the defender's utility, all with the inevitable goal of going for the plane.
Still trying to go for a bit of vertical play. The Cade Electroclaws, which their importance I talked about prior, are being a bit difficult to remove there, though eventually the IQ will find it through the floor with the scanner. More soft breaching to come out, so you can cut down all the garage angles. Force Lycus to play passive. Force them into those same positions we saw them hold last round, in which Visionary got so many kills. Badger on the IQ, he continues to mow everyone down with the G8, forcing them to play passive. As soon as you hear those 5.56 bullets start ripping, you know it's time to run. But Abadu cutting down Defiance as well, and now only 2 remaining defenders. Braxton on low health, and Smoke, not the best operator to fight versus so many opponents with such limited ammunition. Abadu finding yet another kill on the ace, and now Smoke has to do the unthinkable. He'll down the first player. Badger tries to go for the second, but Slasher's too good for it, and Visionary take a flawless round. Repeating that bomb site, it seems not the play for Lycus Empire.
Once again, Lycus Empire is being far too passive, which is mind-boggling to me. You have mechanically gifted players on this roster, players that love to have this very aggressive style of play, roaming throughout the map, doing crazy banana runouts, spawn peeking, whatnot. We haven't really seen that. In round number 1, we saw a small spawn peek, but it didn't really net much of anything. We need Defiance to be on these grandiose roams, doing the things he does best, which is clicking heads. I'm not sure if that strategy has kind of gone away. They said Defiance wasn't really comfortable running that anymore, so maybe that's part of it. But honestly, bring back OG Defiance.
Yeah, maybe give him a bit of time to play on the Valkyrie. It's I don't know. It's kind of saddening to me because Defiance can have so much impact. He's one of the most impactful players in T3 where he can just flip a switch and change the course of almost a whole match. You put him on Valkyrie, you give him a couple of good camp spots, he can do some work. But I think Lycus Empire kind of shot themselves in the foot during this game in having banned the Valkyrie. Her intel, her black eyes are so effective on Consulate, so I understand why Lycus would choose to remove those. But, you know, Defiance has got to find somewhere where he's comfortable. You know, maybe give him the Vigil. We saw him do some good stuff on Vigil recently during AEL on Clubhouse. He can definitely play an excellent roam, so to see him run the Bandit, I don't think is the right choice of operators here. Instead, we'll have the roamers be primarily Psycho and Sensei. Slasher taking a ton of damage. The double kill impact player from rounds prior will be tagged up, and his task made a bit more difficult here in the early round.
Now, I did kind of a candid interview with Defiance earlier today, and he said we were adjusting our strategies because we have a fully new roster. He said, so just be a little bit wary because things are still working out. And for most teams, this is usually their 5th map in their pool. It's not their most comfortable map, and a lot of teams don't start off here. And you have to think of Lycus Empire as a brand new roster. And the guns are going to come alive once again for Visionary. They have a confirmed down, but they're going to have to actually hunt for that kill. And this is going to be the bell-tolling moment for Lycus as they're going to start to push on through, trying to save their down mate.
The last thing you want is another round where Visionary are able to get the opening kill. They'll down Badger, so they've at least gone 1 for 1. But Psycho's got to get picked up eventually. You know, the DBNO clock only lasts for so long, and he is already approaching the graveyard. Hopefully someone can pick him up, but it doesn't look likely, and it'll tick down, and he's gone. Such a very anticlimactic death for him, slowly bleeding out inside the break room floor. But Badger is back up. One thing to look at is Visionary across the board. They've all suffered, except for Mel. He's the only player left here in this round with perfect bill of health. Badger, the G8A1 player, he is tagged up. And for Panic and Abadu, Slasher a little bit better off, but still tagged up after that initial very aggressive peek by Braxton.
The attackers are going to be working their way over to Projector. They're going to try to set up as many crossfires as possible. And that's going to be the name of the game. Here comes an aggressive wide swing from Defiance. It's not going to work out well for him as Slasher is going to punish him. And this is going to allow the attackers an avenue into the bomb site deployable shield there and still crumble on through. Panic's going to go for a quick jiggle peek. The brief fires trying to hunt one down. Shots exchanged, but no real HP. Sensei off screen is going to get down. And Toxic Babes are going to be hunting his way through for Panics. Ash is going to be choked down and shut down. And that's the answer back for Lycus. But the problem is they still have 2 members left up alive. Those Toxic Babes could work magic since there's a lot of members of Visionary just under 25 HP. But the final Toxic Babe is going to go out. That's only 10 seconds. Denial shut down. Call is going to find another in this round. He's going to be hunting for more, but he's going to have to go for the flawless ace. He's going to attack on another one. It's going to be a 3K for him, but Abadu is going to clean that round up.
A 4th attacker win for Visionary here. They look unstoppable, absolutely monstering Lycus Empire, no matter which bomb site we see them go to, and that's really concerning. We've been to lobby, we've been to basement twice, we've been to CEO, and now the only site left for us to go to that Lycus hasn't shown is Split. Frankly, the worst bomb site on this map in a lot of people's minds, and they're not going to do that just yet. We'll see Garage for a 3rd time. returning to it once more. The issue, I think, here just comes down to their roam. They cannot roam every time they attempt to kind of linger on the top floor. Visionary are there. They've got angles. They've got pre-placed drones, all the intel necessary to shut it down. And Lycus seems to have very little in the way of a response. We saw Psycho in the first attempt at basement. He was able to at least escape and head back to the bomb site. The second round, not so lucky. He died through the window trying to rotate from long into island. Unfortunate for him. That gave up so much control to Visionary. And part of me wants Lycus to just invest, so much utility. Maybe try to pull out a bit of a pocket strap. Maybe bring a castle, bring a mute, and try to go for somewhat of a vertical extension. Because Visionary have proved their capabilities in the vertical play. And they've been able to achieve dominance and really excel once that first and second floor control is given up to them.
And honestly, you can't relinquish control. You have a mechanically gifted roster that's playing far too passively. You need to change up your macro strategies, and Hourly is going to be placing his mirror window on the wrong side. Now, there's a few reasons you could do this. It's most likely to have an elevated position, so you can stand this table and go for the wide swing. And there's the opening kill we required. It's going to be a double kill for Defiance. Sensei is still underneath with a pulse sensor, so he might be facilitating more pain and punishment. It is your two main entries. Actually, no, it's your secondary entry and your hard breacher shut down for free. This was the answer back from Lycus Empire. If they're able to win round number 5 as well as round number 2, they could start to change the pace of this series.
The perfect remedy for their troubles, taking out Badger and Abadu. Your IQ, your hard breach from the ace, those are the two perfect picks you could have asked for on this round. Now, Visionary is forced to fight with a very languid roster. They've only got, a few remnants of their soft destruction as well as their flank watch. And they seem to really struggle to get back on their feet. I don't blame them. You lost 2 kills to Defiance, or 2 deaths. It was such a dramatic fashion. And so now you have to kind of pick up the pieces and say, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this whole top floor clear and move about it so swiftly as we had in some of the other attempts. We're going to have to kind of consolidate, figure out what the next step will be. And for me, now that would be probably clearing out this player inside of Piano, but you have to be mindful of the clock. Every second that we see Visionary continue focusing on trying to clear out what's left from the roam is more time wasted during the last second execute. Defiance gets even more, a 3rd kill for him on the round. Talking about a player that can heat up on a moment's notice. Now you have to rely on a half of your soft breach as well as your only 2 remaining attackers, and that could change very quickly here depending on the result of this engagement. But the Pulse hiding in E-Box, he's got the perfect intel to relay to his defensive teammates.
It's going to be Lycus Empire fanning out on the entire basement, trying to utilize their man advantage. Panix has a preset drone. It's going to be an easy wide swing for him. And he knows there's one still lurking somewhere in Archives, but he doesn't seem to be aware that that player is now in E-Box. This could be a huge rotation for Sensei. He's just going to be holding that ground, utilizing his trigger discipline as best as he can. But here he goes. He's ready to go fishing, but he's going to tease us just a little bit. He's waiting for more information. Another member is going to fall. It's not going to matter, as it's going to be the first round win for Lycus as they start to heat up.
Well, that's one way to find yourself around. Just give Defiance Mozzie and tell him to go find a 4K. And, I mean, he got it done. Unfortunately, jumping into this game, during that first initial double kill, I was looking down at my notes to try and catch up, and I missed it. But, Chief, can you give me, like, a visual description of that? What happened in that?
So Nitrocell's pin gets pulled, Defiance leans back, he yeets it across the map, it lands at 2 unsuspecting victims' feet, and they go kapooey. That's how that round went. And honestly, 3 kills for Defiance on the exact same window, and well, 2 Nitrocells this time. And you'd think that if you're a Visionary fan, or if you're the Visionary IGL, you have to make that adaptation. You've seen Defiance do this once before. Are there not preset drones over there on the east side of the map? And if they are they not grabbing Defiance's position? Because you've now died 3 times to the exact same level of aggression.
Well, it seems they've at least tried to measure things well. I mean, Visionary, they've got 4 rounds. Lycus, their aggression, their explosiveness has only carried them to a single victory so far. Maybe we'll see another one to exit the first half.
10 seconds.
I don't know. It's to rely on a Nitro Cell double kill to kick off the round and give you that boost of momentum is not a safe bet by any means. Defiance can certainly get it done. He's on the Mozzie again, and he's got the Nitro Cell. I highly doubt that he goes for it yet another time, but if there was a player to be so brave and so ballsy to go for it a 6th time, it would certainly be him.
You're 100% correct. He is always that player, and he does things that you never expect. He's the player, why on earth are you there type mentality. When you die to that, remember, if you ever utter those words, why was he there, that means you, on attack or on defense, made a mistake. That means you didn't drone, you didn't face check properly. It's a plethora of reasons why you died in that position. But here in round number 6, we'll be returning back upstairs to CEO. And it looks like Visionary is actually changing up their execute. It is going to be a West Ritter Repel and a yellow execute. The problem with this type of execute is it really requires picture-perfect kills on these upside-down window repels. And the defense, in theory, can just play very passive and never actually challenge those windows.
Big stack up here, Panic, as well as my repelling. They'll break the Evil Eye. This makes me think we're going to see some kind of a CEO repel in plant strategy. This is not exactly how things went in round number 5, or rather 4, when we saw that other CEO defense or attack, however you would like to word it. Panic flashes out the Maestro, sprinting up the stairs. Psycho will take out Badger, but control of Yellow, the Ash, beats the Maestro. Even if you've got 81 bullets to pre-fire, he'll still beat you out. Slasher will take out Brack, and now you've lost your Ramai. So 2 operators, not the best to lose early. A Nitro Cell sails into the bathroom. It actually gets stuck on the threshold, and it won't connect. And now Psycho stuck on IKEA is a very, very tough spot for him. Panic will shut down Defiance. Call in Psycho again, another massive negative man advantage situation where they're forced to clutch up, and it looks so impossible. A nice little shot there by Call, a couple of bullets to take out Slasher, but ultimately, it didn't seem like he could make it done. And it's just another round where it seems like the odds are stacked so incredibly against Lycus at the end of things.
Now, Consulate is a very difficult map to play, and because Lycus Empire is pretty much a brand new team, this is definitely a map that isn't in their map pool, and I'm expecting them to try their best, try to utilize as many strategies that they had with older rosters, but Visionary is showing that they have to understand this map, they have a lot of attacking strategies, and they're just kind of bullying Lycus Empire. But that's the thing, best of 2s, we're going to be playing another map, and it's going to be Lycus's map pick, and that will hopefully deliver different strategies.
It does give you that opportunity to come into the next map, switch things up, and figure out how you want to play. The big question for me is, we still got to focus on this map. I think Lycus could possibly pull off a comeback. It's kind of an odd gambit to attack Consulate in the way that you have to play. I make this comparison a lot of times. I feel like Consulate is kind of Coastline's little brother in that they both play out really well if you can frag. I think the one thing, though, that does make Coastline a bit different is you can't play as structured. I think Consulate does lean itself well to kind of both styles of play. But we've got a little fact here. Out of the 3 times Lycus picked Garage, they were only able to win it 1 time. And that's, yeah, you don't want to be repeating a bomb site that you struggle with so much. But to continue my previous thought, I think you can play Consulate structured, but I feel like Lycus would opt for that more kind of run-and-gun style of play. It's what they're best at. They've got the players with the gun skill to back it up.
That's a great point. So we're going to have to see it Lycus's turn. They're going to be on attack, and they have the option of the better guns. And as you were highlighting, they're a mechanically gifted team, so in theory, they might just win their exchanges here. Now, I don't know if I'd call this Coastline's big brother, little brother. Honestly, I think it parallels Theme Park a lot more. Judging by how big the map is, how you actually clear the map, and the utility and the way the defenders actually elect to use their utility. Now, Theme Park tends to be a more utility consumption simulator of a map, and for whatever reason, Consulate hasn't really developed in that, and it's still kind of stuck in that previous meta, which is the Mute Mozzie meta.
You know, now that I think about that, it does make a lot of sense. Both Theme Park and Consulate are really rectangular maps in the way that they play out, and they can both be played structured or really frag heavy. Take a look, though. We've got Mai on the vertical extension. This is something I suggested to Lycus when they were defending the basement. It seems like it'll be time for Visionary instead. The issue here is you stack up so much utility, you need to be able to burn the right amount of time. If you give this up without wasting the clock, there's a real problem. Okay, I was getting a bit worried there for Psycho, but he takes out Mai in the end, and Panic falls as well. So Lycus really kicking this round off well. They've got a strong two-man advantage, as well as now control of Bathroom. That means the free hatch drop. There's no way you can lock that off here for Visionary.
So far, this map is looking very attacker side, at least if you take round number 7 with the great assault, the wide swing, and it's going to be successful. Psycho's a madman at this round as he's going to continue to dish out punishment. And now it is just 2 lone defenders against the Lycus Empire with 5 members alive and standing. But Abadu has a trick up his sleeve. He's going to be working his way up to green door, holding Mouse 1 with the Alda, dispatching 45 bullets as quickly as possible, and then retreating back down the green hallway. The thing is, does he know that there's a player lurking very close to those staircases? He might not be done reloading as Alda, but he's going to be looking the wrong way as Hourly's going to now shut him down. It's going to be an impossible scenario for Badger looking the wrong way. Defiance is going to clean this round up.
Well, Lycus certainly echoing what we saw from Visionary and the dominance of which they executed onto this bomb site. There was no room for Visionary to breathe. That vertical extension was dealt with swiftly and excellently. They did everything in their power to clear out that mute, and I don't know what he was doing, looking into the corner of the bathroom stall. Probably should have had a shotgun up watching the doorway, but I understand when you're playing in that spot, there's a lot of concerns as far as your position. But I talked about kind of the economy of surrendering that position, leaving yourself with so much utility dedicated to the top floor just for it to fall without having as much impact. And as well as the hatch being open, you can't ignore that as a defender because the hatch, in recent times, it doesn't play as much of a factor as you would see in kind of the olden days of Consulate. Usually teams are more now focused on vertical play in piano as well as breaching the garage wall. But the hatch being open is a step, and it's something that Lycus Empire don't even have to waste hard breaching on. It's just open up. It's free. And the fact that Mute didn't escape, he didn't drop down. The hatch did nothing for the defense in that round.
So at the T1 level, we've seen CEO pretty much fall out of the entire meta because it's really window repel simulator. Attackers have become so good at shutting down crossfires for free. On just about every other map and every other bomb site, the attackers need to have map control. They need to have control of buffer rooms to set up crossfires. But here, in theory, you can set up a multi-angle crossfire, 4 different crossfires, without ever stepping into the building. It can be absolutely oppressive if done right. And I know you're talking that Split really isn't a comfortable bomb site for a lot of teams. And in T3, you're absolutely correct because it requires a lot of coordination, perfect communication, and perfect use of soft destruction. You have to turn the entire Teller's bomb site into Swiss cheese. You need to destroy as many elevated surfaces as possible, and if you skip steps on the defense, you're going to be punished from that, which is why I love T3 teams are still very comfortable going to well CEO.
Yeah, going to Split requires a very specific style of play, and you need to be prepared to deal with it. The other issue is, a lot of times in T3, if you go to Split, teams are just going to rush you. They're just going to, you know, maybe immediately take control of Visa, drop the blue hall hatch, or maybe go for a garage push. Badger dead early is another strong opening frag for Lycus Empire. Psycho starting to get some kills. We didn't see him have the best initial half, but he is fragging out all right. And Badger, the player who had so much impact with that G8A1 on the IQ, is now relegated to the castle with the UMP. Very different set of weapons.
So far, just about every single one of these rounds have been incredibly one-sided. It's teams dropping flawless round after flawless round. Well, it will be Lycus Empire's turn to break that trend, as Penix gonna find one. The Nitro Cell is gonna not find its target, as it lands just a few meters away, but they were just far away enough to not take damage. Sensei is gonna find another kill of his own. And the defense, once again, they're stuck in this fallacy. They're playing far too passively. They have no option of rotation other than getting aggressive. 3 of them are stuck within a pretty much a perimeter of 3 meters, and it's going to be open season for Defiance, as he's going to find a kill of his own. And those 2 players are still stuck on the northwest side,
no.
but Call's going to get a team kill. Slash is going to get a kill of his own, and we're back to equal man count.
Well, the Visionary have a way to win this round. It just appeared with the TK and then them trading out onto, I believe, Hourly himself. And now you're down by 3. The diffuser, however, will begin. A smoke canister lands too short to deny the plant. Sensei Brack with a wonderful shot onto Slasher. And now with the defuse down, the attackers, they hold all the cards. Another gas canister tossed out, but it doesn't do much at all. Maybe lock off a sight line. We don't have anybody out on the projector balcony, which is the position I would probably suggest of most importance here. Instead, choosing to play farther back inside admin. They've got a drone there you can see at the top of the stairs. Abadu with a wonderful shot on the call. And now wrapping around the long desk, only 13 seconds left. All Sensei has to do is back up, but he goes one way, he goes the other. He doesn't know what he wants to do. And even though they trade, Lycus Empire still take the round because they managed to get the bomb down.
So as an attacker, it's very difficult to actually get map control, but as soon as you have map control, that's actually going to hinder the defense greatly. And the reason because the defense is playing so far passive, they have no way of leaving their bunker other than standing up and holding mouse 1. And both these defending rosters are really struggling with that. As soon as they lose map control, they have no option because their backs are against the wall. And the attackers know that the defenders are going to be standing up and getting aggressive with them. They can hold these tight angles and they're just winning their exchanges because the SMG-11, while it's a phenomenal gun, it's not going to beat an attacker assault rifle, at least at range.
Attackers need to
Yeah,
locate and
no,
defuse as many bombs as they
it's a
can.
good gun. It can do a lot of work given some very specific circumstances. You know, you put yourself in a close range gunfight, you're holding a smoke, maybe you're playing yellow angle. It can spit out lead like almost no other gun. But the downside of that is a gun that shoots fast, a gun that has a ton of recoil, and a small mag does not suit well for long-range gunfights. You combine that with the drop-off and the fact that, oh, no more ACOG on the SMG-11. That's not the most recent, but certainly a contributing factor. You cannot use that at really any significant range. And the attackers, just from default versus the defense, usually have the range advantage in a lot of their firearms.
And honestly, it makes sense because the attackers are the ones that start outside the building and they need to clear their way into the building and relying on those long-range sights. At least if you're taking that from like a quote-unquote meta standpoint, right? Now, in theory, all the engagements do happen close quarters, so the attackers, in theory, could actually benefit from having some CQC-style weapons. What the attackers are going to be doing, a very similar execute once again. It is going to be an admin clear, and the problem with it last time for the defenders of Visionary is Badger got far too aggressive. He was basically making very bad rotations, finding himself on an island with no refrag ability.
One thing I think Visionary could do with a little bit more of is intel. It seems they a lot of times are kind of unaware of these positions. Castle caught out again. He's the opening frag. Tries to rush into Coffin, but Defiance on the prone angle will cut him down. And that's where the intel would have come to play. Maybe have a bulletproof cam there so that if you have to break it, you have to get close up and punch it, or, you know, use some of your utility that might have been saved for another task. And that gives you the perfect intel that could have just saved Badger's life. But instead choosing, I believe, to put his bulletproof on Baguette to watch down long haul. Not entirely sure about that. Usually you would consider that the default setup. But the lack of the Valkyrie could certainly be harming them here when you don't have the versatility that the 3 Black Eyes give you in the intel. And it doesn't seem like Mozzie has been able to capture many drones to use as little mobile sources. I think it is starting to hurt them a little bit. Slasher on the close angle, hiding in piano, could die very quickly, especially with somebody out on the balcony.
And that balcony player will drop. The 90-degree crossfire has been established, but Slasher has yet to be confirmed by the drone. It's going to drive by him, and now they know for a fact he's there. The frag grenade is going to confirm his location and put him 6 feet under. A second frag grenade is going to be sent down range to the player currently sitting in split. It's going to be a double Kobe for Sensei, and the defenders are not looking good in this round as they continue to crumble on through. It's going to be a flawless round as they steamroll their way into the bomb site.
We have really seen a massive momentum shift. Visionary were so good on their attacks. In fact, taking 4 in a row as we started this matchup, and now it seems a big reversal of fortune. Now Lycus Empire are the confident ones who can take rounds without problem, without issue. They've been able to succinctly shut down anyone playing off-site. They've been able to nitro, or rather toss plenty of frag grenades. I mean, in that last round, a double kill. That was so crucial, and the fact that they didn't miss the nades, you combine that with the fact that we don't have much in the way of projectile denial, it's a deadly combo. And Projector, really the only way that you clear that is by using utility. If you try to take your heads-up gunfights, you're going to be running a risk, especially with close proximity, with the smoke hiding there with the SMG-11. You can have the R4C all you want, but there's something about that gun. It really leans well to holding that top visa angle.
And Visionary has basically utilized this as their legacy map. And the defense has only won 11% of their rounds. The attackers have a 90 or 89% win rate. That is quite a statistic. And we have seen some attacker-sided maps and some attacker-sided metas, but maybe this map is just a unique map in itself, or particularly this series, where the attackers just seem to be winning the majority of their engagements. And I think it's, well, this thing I've been saying the entire time. The defenders are playing far too passively, and when they're playing aggressive, it's far too predictable.
Honestly, I think that's a perfect synopsis of what's been going wrong, because the defense, it seems in every round, I don't have exact stats, but they die so many times on the opening death. Like, it's almost like a guarantee. I mean, for the first 2 rounds in a row, we saw Badger go down, and after that, it just kind of continues on and on. It's kind of frustrating to see, because Consulate can be a roamer's paradise if you're able to execute it well, but neither team has so far.
And maybe that's just because, like we were saying, they're putting themselves in islands, not utilizing the refrag rule. Panics to go for the wide swing, and the motif of today is losing those engagements as a defender, as he's going to find himself in a 6-foot grave. Now, he has plenty of teammates still within his vicinity to get his refrag, but that window is slowly falling away. And SMG-11 is going to get aggressive. Defiance is going to go for an impact to destroy the deployable shield. He's going to dish a little bit of damage out to himself, but not enough to really be a big factor. The new Z pings are going to go on through, confirming that player's location over in Projector.
Well, here's something you'll enjoy. Finding 2 frags to even it out, but not long. Seems the call came out hourly, wrapping around the corner, found his target, and, well, Mai got 2 frags, but so did everyone else on the opposing team, and now you're sitting stock still. We're back to even. Sledge being alive still is definitely something you want. You can open up the soft breach angles, which are so crucial to attacking this bomb site, but as I say that, he goes down from Abadu. I'm not exactly sure what the angle was. I think he is holding vertically or from connector. No, the Rook, though, getting spotted out. He's forced to rotate down. Going back to the bomb site, scanning a couple of those footprints. You don't want to get too close to that mute jammer. It could deny your gadget. But it seems the soft breach will come from the hard breach. The Selmas are being deployed to use and open those up. We've got the 1 track from the Jackal onto Slasher hiding inside a banana. Gonna just sit there in the concrete tunnel, make sure that he doesn't get taken out from vertical play. They've got a ping onto one of the players below as well, and another Selma deployed to try and get the vertical play onto the Goyo hiding below, and in fact they will be. Hourly takes him out. Nice double kill there. The C7E rattles out through the floor, but a vertical angle from inside the bathroom through the hatch. The Alda finds its mark, and it gets another one for its troubles as Visionary finally able to take a defender round.
It has been 3 in a row for Lycus Empire, but as you mentioned, it's no longer that momentum and that snowball effect, as it's going to be Visionary delivering themselves to match point. They had a phenomenal showing on attack. It really didn't work out well for them on defense, and then this could be the penultimate round if Lycus Empire wants to continue with the momentum that they worked so hard to build in the previous 3 attacker rounds. But that's the thing. They're going to have to be just a little bit better with their utilization of utility. They're catching themselves off on these really bad rotates. Honestly, the exact same thing that was happening to them on defense.
Well, here's something that we haven't seen for a long time on this second half. It'll be the basement. We're going down to the garage. This was the initial win for Lycus Empire. It was that attempt at holding vertically inside of the bathroom, which fell flat on its face. I wonder if they're going to try it again. They've got, I think, pretty similar lineup, operators for the lineup, rather. This is the first offensive win in over 5 rounds. Yeah, I think Chief hit on that point as well. This has been a very attacker-sided map. And it seems in every single round they're able to open things up, and that just gives you... Oh, here we go. We've got the round history. This is helpful. So you can see kind of the pattern of the side switch. Visionary have been able to at least find a round a little bit quicker than what we saw from the initial streak that they set out on the first half. But to continue my earlier thought about the vertical extension, there's a really specific way that you need to hold it, which almost kind of lends yourself well to that lack of intel that the mute provides. You can't drone inside that corridor, and so the only way that you really can confidently clear that out is to waste the mute's ADS. I wonder if they're going to make that same commitment to the utility. We've obviously got the 1 mine now as well, so you can stack up some of those magnets inside the bomb site and not be so weak. Once the top floor ADSs get cleared, you'll at least have a last layer of protection.
Well, currently, it's going to be Cal trying to open up this big garage wall. And we've also seen a lot of Pro League players, as soon as this wall gets opened up, it is a full send YOLO style rush. But Lycus Empire, they have elected to not bring that strategy and do something a little bit more sensible, trying to confirm the location of the defenders and create an execution strategy upon them. Now Slasher once again is going to be over here. He's going to be relegated to playing in big bathroom stalls. He has an M590 and SMG11 at his disposal. The last time a player was put in this spot, though, they were shut down for free because they were on cameras. So if there are any type of bulletproof cameras or default anywhere close on by, you're going to have another player set up for that. And a good call for the defenders. They've realized the crossfire has been established. And Psycho's just going to walk on and get a confirmed kill. That is going to be what mine his pancake shut down in a second. The kill for him.
Well, again, the bathroom control falls without much to say for it. At least Slasher was able to fall back before he died. Panic, however, matching the Ashes set of 2 frags with a nice double for himself, taking out Sensei in defiance. Though most of the soft breaching that was necessary has already been done, and Call has shown that he is not a stranger to deploying some of those. Psycho continuing to gun everyone down. He's actually been able to move and take control of Cafeteria, though the defuse not in the best spot to get this plant down. The Maestro finding one after his teammate fell just shortly, and now in a 1v2, the plant begins. Call, however, fading off of it. In the long angle held by Hourly secures Lycus Empire round number 11. Finally able to come out on top here. The momentum streak, which they held for so long, is back.
Well, both of these teams on attack look completely unstoppable. I called it early. I said that was going to be the penultimate round, and it looks like I am correct, assuming that we don't dive into overtime. Now, just to remind you, we do have unlimited overtime if round 12 goes in favor of Lycus Empire, which basically means we will go till this map concludes with 2 teams, or I guess 1 team winning 2 rounds in a row. That is going to be the win factor for both of these rosters. But right now, Lycus Empire needs to win another round on attack. They've looked unstoppable on down here in Cafeteria and Garage, simply because the defenders of Visionary are putting players on an island and with no refragability. And I sound like a broken record at this point because both of these rosters are made the same mistakes on defense.
Yeah, and it feels like this game has, in a lot of ways, played out very similarly. And the two sides, it's almost like we kind of just restarted with swap teams. One thing to look at is Visionary will not play the Vigil. They don't want to. They've got match point, though. That kind of has snuck up on us. Obviously, with their nice little 5-round setup in the first half, you only need 1 or 2 defenses to close it out here, Lycus Empire. We'll need another strong offense, something they've proved themselves very capable of. I don't see this going to overtime. Or rather, I don't see this not going to overtime. I think Lycus are going to take this next round, probably push things forward just because they've looked so dominant. I mean, the only time we've seen them fall was in lobby because of a couple little mispositioning errors, some missteps, and they forgot to check the bathroom angle, which frankly was really creative from the Maestro. Watching the hatch drop, that's always something you'll worry about when you've got a Maestro, you've got the Aldo left on the board. You drop a hatch, he's got so many bullets, it doesn't matter how many players you drop down. He will gun every single one of them down. No Vigil, though, as I mentioned, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because Vigil, one of the best roamers, obviously, that's kind of his job, but Visionary choosing not to even position anyone on the top floor.
So with the staircases on this map, you in theory could bring your Vigil up 1 staircase, possibly the Teller staircase over here, and then come up the banana staircase on the complete underside. Basically do this jack-in-a-box style strategy where you're going back and forth, and if you're quiet enough, you could bypass some of the flank drones because you're going to have this static throughout the map. This map is so small, you can be in basement and still have that static ping all the way on the top floor of Archives, or actually an admin when you're in Archives. And that's the beauty about him on this map. You have so much flexibility. In theory, it's impossible to actually drone out a Vigil. Now, Slasher's in a very aggressive position. He is sitting very close to a mute jammer off screen. Panic's gonna find a kill of his own, but if Slasher isn't droned out, he can dish out punishment. Badger's gonna get nitro cell of his own, and Lycus Empire, they're starting to falter here at round number 12, but it's all gonna be on Slasher. If he's able to win this engagement, it is gonna be the nail in the coffin.
You got a nice close-up there on the Ash, who died below, and they've tried this nitro cell below in previous rounds when Slasher has kind of given the call that they're applying pressure, though it didn't actually work out before. So you'll be happy to say that Psycho is dead. Defiance holding close, actually doesn't know Zophia's position. A massive potato fest between the two of them, though Defiance wins it out in the end with a nice shot onto the head of Slasher. Panic 2 will fall, taken out for the crime he committed in killing Hourly just moments prior. And now the soft breaching process will begin. But with only 35 seconds, this has moved very slowly. And it seems like finally Slasher has been able to burn off the correct amount of clock that he would want to in that position. Defiance shuts down Badger, and now Lycus are in the man advantage. So with little time, they're going to have a really heroic play here. The shield position on Pipes will prove very difficult to clear. We don't have the full details on what soft breach remains, but going for the plant here would be troubling. May goes down, and now Abadu, the last player left. He's on cams, but he's too late to deny the plant, and he's spotted out. Lycus Empire are not done yet. They'll push us to overtime despite the very difficult odds in that final round.
Once again, a huge blunder coming through for Visionary. They are making far too many mistakes. They have the opening pick, and then they just basically retreat back into the bomb site, and they sit there and wait to die. They are far too passive. They need to be playing more actively. I keep saying this. You, as a defender, can never have your back against the wall because that's asking to get shut down by the attackers. Both of these rosters have fallen into that same mistake, and that's why we're seeing the attackers constantly win out these rounds. And now that we're at overtime, we're going to see one of these two teams win 2 rounds in a row to be successful. It can happen the next 2 rounds, or in theory, it can happen in 20 rounds.
Sure can. And interesting fact here, Chief. Despite my wide-ranging experience, I actually haven't ever casted an infinite overtime game. I've casted best of 5s, double best of 3s, nothing with infinite overtime. So this is fun. This is a new experience for me. I've always wanted to cast infinite overtime, but the logistics required to get it done is just something a lot of leagues haven't been able to haven't been able to meet, and that's a big thing of what I like about SCS. If you want something done, you've got a creative idea, SCS is ready to fulfill it and make your dreams come true. And it's a big factor of why I enjoy this league so much, and for my initial experience, it's been nothing but positive so far. But here is the rest of the round history. Still only one defender round each side. So very attacker-sided. That hasn't changed all too much. Lycus Empire, they get the first shot at attacking here, so the advantage initially will go to them. But of course, due to our beautiful double overtime system, that advantage could mean very little.
But we've been here once before. This is Press Room Lobby. Visionary's only successful defensive hold have been here. And if they're able to basically recreate that same strategy, it will work out well. Slash is going to find a kill because Sensei's going to overextend, showing just a little bit too much of his head. The utility dump on Yellow Stairs is going to be a coffin for Lycus Empire, as it looks like another member is trying to say hi to the MP5, a Slasher. That looked like it was Ash, and Psycho is going to rotate away. He doesn't want to deal with that at all.
Yeah, after losing someone, probably not the smart idea to re-attempt in peeking that position. You're already entrenched, and whoever is holding that top yellow position, they can play recklessly because they've got their initial opening frag. That's all that's required of them. The Goyo shield will take down Panics, detonated by Defiance, who himself, I think, took a bit of damage up close and personal there at the door. But ultimately, Lycus Empire find their refrag, even at the cost of Defiance suffering a ton of damage.
It was a double explosion for Defiance as he sent down his impact grenade, and also the explosive shield is going to shut down Panic. That might be the mistake in that round. Once again, the defenders have their back against the wall and have no option other than getting aggressive. But that's a problem. They could have rotated. Panix could have been better with his life, and he's going to forfeit for free once again. But Mai is lurking still upstairs, very close to Coffin. And if he is able to rotate and send himself with bullets down range, he could pick off a member of Lycus. But have they droned him out? Not as of yet.
The fact that he's still allowed to hold this position is a bit worrying for me. We saw him be up here previously, though, and he wasn't able to deny the plant. And with Defiance in the covers, that seems to be going the same way. Cycle will shut out Badger, and so now your site control is even weaker. But a nice crossfire there. The teamwork between Mai and Slasher will remove the top floor coverage. And now a triple kill for Rook as he takes out the Ash. Hourly shuts down Mai on the vertical play, but Slasher on a quad kill, and Abadu to find the final pick. Visionary, 2 for 2 on their lobby defense. This is the site to be at.
And this is the best site, at least if we're using NAL statistics, so it makes sense that Visionary is going to be winning it. Now they're going to find themselves technically on match point once again. If they are able to win this round and attack, and remember, this is a very attacker-sided map, at least today in this series, Visionary might be able to deliver themselves this series win. It is a dire map for them, and once again, we're going to see this impeccable headshot by Slasher. It just gets better every time you see it.
Yeah, that was honestly really incredible. Ultimately, though, we have a rehost. So, pardon us. We'll be heading over here, and seeing as this is my first rehost, I think we're going to be going to a bit of a feed replay. So, oh, also, hi. We've got the webcams working after
You're back.
that. I'm back. I'm here. I would have liked to be maybe a bit more prepared coming into this, but it's a first week game. You jump in, you got your expectations going. We've also got a desk host. Hi, Sako.
Hi, everybody. Stick, it's phenomenal to have you, my friend. I believe this is the first time we've been live together, so it's an honor to have you for sure. But oh, and Chief, apparently you're Blue Panda now.
Woo!
All right, let's go, New Zealand man. But in any case, yeah, what an amazing start to these games here so far between Lycus and Visionary. What I thought was going to be a very dominant Visionary performance turned around. I mean, Lycus showing themselves really well here throughout these so far, I believe 13 now rounds, correct? My math has been pretty bad. But I'll let you guys get into it here and sort of talk about what you've been seeing here. I'll be back with you in a minute.
honestly,
Sure,
I
so-
think we see the same things over and over again. Both these rosters are making the identical mistakes. They're basically overextending. They're putting players on an island. I can't repeat this enough. When you're a defender, you have to be relying on these staged roams where you have the opportunity of falling back. If you are in your bomb site and you have no option other than getting aggressive, you have made a mistake somewhere in your macro strategy. You should be arriving to that last ditch effort right as that final execute from the attackers. So basically, both teams come head to head. It's that do or die brawl, and it should go in favor of the defense. But the problem is the defenders are rotating back to bomb site way too soon, and it just allows the attackers to destroy the floor above them, create their own crossfires, and then eventually punish them outright.
Sure, and we can back that statement up by the fact that the most recent success from the defense was in a round where they were able to remain on the flank, and it was always a problem that the attackers, Lycus Empire, were never able to trump. We saw them kind of retake onto the top floor. Slasher and I believe, I want to say Mai, were
Mai,
kind
yes.
of working together as a duo. There was Defiance creating a lot of problems. He had the perfect position to shut down the projector take, but he forgot that the defense had already opened up angles through from the long desk wall. And that set up for the perfect crossfire. Defiance over-aggressed. He opened himself up to the opportunity for the Rook to take him out, and ultimately that led us to a situation where Slasher got an insane multi-kill. So many frags for him. And Visionary take her out. So they've got their defense here, and that's something else that I wanted to talk about because it means a lot. You know, you're heading into OT. It's an attacker-sided map. You started off with a defensive win. That means so much. Now you get to play on the favored side. You get that nice little cushion. You know, should you lose that round, you already won the round that was necessary, and it would be pretty much tied back up even should you lose it. I think Visionary have a very real opportunity here to close it out before heading too far into our infinite overtime, though Lycus Empire certainly a team that can come back when it's necessary to do so.
Now, the last time Visionary was in attack, they struggled at least in round 5 and 6 because Defiance was getting aggressive. He was utilizing his Nitro cells and basically sitting them downrange out through those east windows in admin. They're going to need to create a strategy so that doesn't happen to them, right? You need to have flank drones over on the east side of the map so your primary entries could just instantly repel through those windows and or coordinate how they're going to push away either Defiance or another member of the Lycus Empire roster getting aggressive. Because the problem with this map is it's very hard to actually get into the map. But as soon as you're an attacker with more or less the majority control of the map, you can manipulate it in any way you want. So it's going to be now in Lycus Empire to find a way to shut that down.
All right, well, that's enough of us talking about what's going to go down on paper, because we've got the game ready. We'll be heading back into the action for Consulate, going into, I believe, round number 14, the second of our infinite overtime. So let's dig in and see what Visionary will bring to the table. I'm certainly interested to see which bomb site Lycus Empire will choose, being that Lobby has won 2 of the 3 victories here, or is 2 of the 3 victories. They could choose to go there, but no, we're heading down to the garage. This was the only site that Lycus won when they were on defense, so it's kind of the home territory here. It seems Lobby is the Visionary defensive site they feel most comfortable on, with Cafeteria on the opposite side of that over for Lycus.
And the thing is, once again, it's going to be Mozzie and Defiance, the dynamic duo coupled together. There was a mute shown just briefly, but it's actually going to be the Mira 6 picked into. This is going to put security as a really strong position, but oh no, the reverse Uno card. It's going to be a Kaid now shown. And we've seen a lot of Kaid strategies basically come through the meta, especially coupled with the Goyo shield where you throw the Kaid charge underneath that Goyo canister, and that wall will be electrocuted until that Goyo shield is basically blown up from vertical destruction. But I'm very curious to see how Lycus Empire will be playing round 14. I am trying to send them some mental messages to play aggressive and not make the same mistakes they were earlier. Now, they just had a 5-minute break, so they could have talked to their coaches and created a new defensive strategy on the fly.
Yeah, they could have come up with the game plan. I mentioned pocket strats as being something that could lead them to victory here, and we've got our next maps as well. So Clubhouse would be our second. This is Visionary's pick, so I mentioned Visionary probably going to be able to close it out here. Lycus, if they could steal this, that would be certainly an accomplishment for them. But the basement bomb site, let's look at the operator picks. We've got the two most crucial, I think, here are the Lamai and Jaeger. Having both of them has proved to be very strong in a lot of these defenses. You've also got Defiance, who has been an incredible roamer when he is successful. And yes, that seems like kind of a no-brainer. But some rounds, he's all quiet. Some rounds, it's the direct opposite. Those windows being opened up does give me a bit of a flashback to what we saw Defiance pull off in some rounds prior. But he'll actually be holding at the top of the Visa staircase. I wonder what the game plan here will be with Mai pushing in through Visa.
You can see the preset drone, something that we were very critical of Visionary not doing beforehand. That adjustment has been made, and Mai is going to start to work his way over into towers and try to get as much map control as possible. Now Psycho off screen is going to be also lurking just a meter away from one another. But unfortunate to them, Jaeger doesn't have a nitro cell, and Pulse isn't being brought out once again. Pulse was a very instrumental operator because he was the one that got Defiance's free kills off the information. Defiance isn't go fishing. He's going to go for the wide swing. He's going to find one rotating right in front of another, but no bullets to answer the back whatsoever. Now Drones will confirm his location over in meeting room. He's going to go for the wide swing, but eventually shut on down.
Attackers have located a
Nice
bomb.
refrag there from Panic, shutting down Defiance. This gives you the opportunity to make up for lost time. But Visionary are a team where they're not going to miss roamers. They're going to make sure everything is clear. You can see this perfectly exemplified by Abadu, Badger, as well as Panics now checking every single possibility. All the rack corners are being droned out, face checked. Nobody on the top floor. They want to make absolutely certain that there are no more surprises for this round. The drones will come out. A minute on the clock. We've seen them be successful on this bomb site with little time before. The big question is, what happens in this next engagement? Does Lycus Empire find a pick? Are they able to stall this out even more and shut somebody down? That could be huge. Sensei from below will have his position revealed as the soft breach will begin, and they've actually been able to open up the hatch inside of bathroom as well with a bit of creative hard breaching. Hourly still on Pixel. We've seen the shield position from so many players in this game so far, and it's very difficult to clear. If you can, stall the clock and leave yourselves in an even man count situation, that could change the course of things here. But Panic will be the difference maker as he shuts out Sensei. Now you've lost one of your nitro cells, crucial to denying the plant, but a smoke through the floor from Call finds the refrag. Psycho shutting down Badger as well, and Lycus Empire are approaching a situation where they can close this out. Now a 3v1, the Zofia forced to drop the hatch, but the Jaeger from through the kitchen doorway will cut him down as Lycus Empire tie us up. And this infinite overtime looks to go on.
A huge blunder coming out by Visionary. They just started to skip steps on their execute. They weren't relying on their vertical destruction. They got a few kills with it, but they weren't putting those breach charges in the proper position, and they weren't forcing the defenders to move. That's the thing. Remember, when the defenders have their back against the wall, you can predict their movements. But they didn't have their backs against the wall as of yet because the attackers didn't do their due diligence. That would have been a perfect round win for Visionary, and it is going to be now their turn to be on defense, and they really have struggled on the CEO. They're going to be trying to show a clash and try to slow down Lycus Empire, but they're going to be six-picking away to it to potentially a different operator, which will be Goyo.
I was hoping we might see the clash. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Chief, but I don't think Clash has been played so far in this map.
And defuse bombs.
Correct.
And that has to do with the point that you have consistently brought up, and that's you need to be aggressive. You need to have a gun in the fight, and Clash is not really an operator that helps you out much in that category. Being able to take your one-on-ones leans more to operators like Vigil, like the Jaeger that we'll see. And the Clash doesn't really fit that build. The Goyo does in some respects, though. You've got the Vulcans to shut down the attack as they try to move forward. And you've also got the choice between the TCS G12 and the Vector, two powerful weapons, each with their own specific use case here. Interested to see which one Mal has chosen, or rather Mai. He is still kind of teasing us here, got the pistol in hand, but missing down these Vulcans. We did see, I believe that was in, I'm going to look back, I want to say it was round number 12, where Defiance detonated a Vulcan shield in the projector doorway, nearly killing himself in taking out one of the defenders in the process. So if you're a defender holding close at top visa, you should probably be a bit worried about that, but we do know which weapon he's using now. Mai's got the Vector.
Now, I have a fun fact for you, my friend. The last time we saw this map was in the grand finals with Wichita Wolves, where they ended up winning that series. That was the last time that we saw an Infinite Overtime here, at least on this map. So it's very unique to see. We didn't see this map at all in Season 3, and the one time it was brought, it delivered an unlimited overtime to, I believe, round 19. And that went in favor of the Wichita Wolves, if I believe correctly. Actually, I don't believe they won it. It's a long time ago. My 3 brain cells sometimes struggle to remember things like that. But it seems like this map really draws out firefights. Maybe it's because teams don't have the proper strategies to play it, or maybe the strategies are still developing in the new meta. For whatever it is, this map delivers OT, and it's going to be hourly. Delivering punishment is going to find the opening kill.
Well, the defense for yet another round will suffer early. Panic dead. And that's a real shame. He's had a lot of effectiveness in overtime. 2 frags so far since the rehost, and Defiance holding close on this window repel could look to make it 2 as he waits for the opportunity to strike. The smoke, though, probably not going to over-aggress, but a nade from Sensei finds the second frag instead, shutting down Slasher, and now Control, the projector, will fall under the watchful grasp of Lycus Empire, and with Mai dead as well, Sensei, yet another beautiful nade kill, Badger down as well, and now Abadu, the smoke, left alive, and he's got a castle barricade in his path. Unfortunate. He'll try to go below, maybe shotgun up and deny the plant, but unfortunately, I think you're stock out of time here, maybe dealing a bit of damage in the end of things, but the plant will go down regardless, and this is... the sledge dropping the hatch there. He got a bit too early, but Defiance takes down Abadu anyway, so an impactless frag to close things out. Lycus with a near-flawless, perfectly executed round. Sensei is such a machine with those frag grenades on the top floor.
He's had double Kobe's before, and he's going to repeat that once again. And it's going to be Lycus's Empire's turn to find themselves on match point. They definitely want to close it here, because if this series continues to go on through, everybody in this lobby is going to start to fatigue, and we go to our map number 2, which is Clubhouse. Some of those strategies might just start to falter simply because the mental fortitude is no longer there. And whenever team loses map number 1, well, again, it's going to be the mental fortitude game. They're going to come off that huge loss. Both of these teams have fought really hard for this victory, and it's going to be a huge blow to whatever team ends up losing. And right now, Lycus Empire, they have a good understanding of how to attack, but will they be able to defend this particular bomb site? That's the big question.
Last round had something which is kind of rare from our round so far, and that's a plant. There hasn't been any rounds where we had plant as win condition. As far as my notes, I don't have full details on plans. Maybe that's something production can send us over, but you've got the round history here for our overtimes. It's been back and forth, continuing. Lycus Empire able to strike twice with 2 wins in a row now. They'll need 1 more if they want to close this out. But Visionary on the offense. Here it is, Chief. Again, that same point. The defense struggled. They don't play aggressive enough. They don't win their frags, and they go down early. Last round, that was so perfectly evident because Lycus Empire got 1 frag. They got another. They got another. They got another 4. And only in that 5th and final engagement were there anything from Visionary on the defense to frag back. It was a knife kill from a sledge dropping a hatch. And when you have only 1 kill on a round in such an inconsequential way, it's really worrying to me. And on the top floor bomb site, which is, it's supposed to be winnable, I honestly don't know. I don't know what the idea here is from Lycus.
The only idea they have, and it's one goal, that is winning this round, round number 16. They want to find the opening kill. Defiance is going to try to accomplish that, but he's going to think better about his life and actually rotate away. He wants to fight another day, but the problem is, does relinquishing the entire east side of the map really hurt Lycus Empire in the long run? We're going to have to see how it continues to pan on out. Mozzie Pests are going to do what they do best, sniping away drones, but it's going to be Visionary shooting them away so they don't get enough information from that. The Mozzie Pests are wasting a lot of time, so even if you don't actually destroy a drone in that process, it is still wasting up to 10 seconds.
Well, Badger goes down, so here is that opening defensive frag. Defiance on the jump out. Should be able to rotate back in. My dashing and sprinting through the building to try and defend his teammate, but hourly, the perfect coverage from the yellow staircase guns him down. An excellent play leads Lycus up by 2, and the possibility of closing this series out becomes more and more clear. The gas canister wasted there, the particles you can see through the wall. And that's just one crucial piece of the utility having been deployed. The smoke holding close in this corner without Sensei on the offense with frags. That's one less thing to worry about here as a defender. But Ash has managed to sneak up close at the connector door. You better hope that your teammate's going to provide you coverage. That would be the Jaeger. The Smoke's shoulder is spotted, but he spins around perfectly to avoid the shots. Abadu will begin the plant. And this engagement could go either way.
Here comes a wide swing from both members, but it's going to be a CO Blue in the lobby as Lycus Empire is going to fight their way through. This is no longer their map pick, but it doesn't matter. They're successful eventually in round 16. It took a lot of rounds, but they are able to piece it together. The defense doesn't win until now.
That was such a hard-fought match. Ultimately, though, Lycus coming into it with one of the strongest, if not the sole strongest defense we saw on the entirety of Consulate. A flawless round. It didn't matter that the defuse was down because they retook the bomb site excellently and destroyed what was remaining from Visionary, and they take our first map of this series. Their opponent's pick, nonetheless, 9-7.
I can't believe that's showing. And hey, Sako's back
Oh,
with us,
hi,
my
guys.
friend.
Yeah,
Hello,
no, sorry.
welcome back.
Sorry, I always surprise you guys so much. I come in and out of nowhere. But yeah, I'm back, guys, and 16 rounds of action. So that ties the personal SCS record for the the most amount of rounds in any given map that happened during the actual playoffs, I believe, from last season. But it was going. What a great job here from both teams to take it that long. That was fantastic. So what do you guys think? Any impressions that you guys take away from that first map that we're going to be taken into Clubhouse for map number 2?
Honestly, I think it's just defenders making mistakes, because both these teams making mistakes, not understanding the concept of stage roaming and rotating back too quickly. And maybe that's just because this map isn't played as much. Teams aren't as confident on it as maps like Cafe, where the stage roam was basically pioneered.
Sure.
Yeah, honestly, I'm hoping that our second game is more back and forth. We saw, I believe, 5-1 halves for both the first and second, so it was really tilted towards the offense. They were taking rounds consistently, a lot of flawless rounds, but we've got a few things to say from our analysts, so we'll go ahead and throw them over, and you get to pick their brains, see what they've got to say. So we'll be back, but now the analysts.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb. All right, it looks like you're muted there, Smitty, but what an insane game. 16 rounds. That was really back and forth from the beginning. This was probably the most attacker-sided I've ever seen a Consulate played. I mean, it's just when we went into the half, 1-5, Visionary up, doing well, and then it switched right back and forth. And sometimes we can see this being played on Consulate. Some teams are a lot stronger on defense, some are strong on attack, but a lot of it has to do with a lot of early round aggression, a lot of overpeaking, and a lot of gun skill. Wonderful map. I'm going to kick it over to Smitty real quick.
I mean, you could definitely tell that was just attacker-sided. Like, the first half was 5-1 in favor of Visionary, and in the second half, Lycus Empire being on attack, it was 5-1 again. So you could definitely see just from right there how attacker-sided it was. Towards the end, it got a little less attacker-sided with, both teams winning their defenses. But it was just a huge, crazy map. At the beginning, Visionary, they were on top of Lycus, man. They're doing them. They're doing their teamwork. I was honestly surprised. That's why I chose round 4, because it was such a display of good teamwork. I was honestly surprised they even won that, because they were all low. I thought they weren't going to be able to win their gunfights, but who needs to put themselves in 1v1 gunfights when you have teammates at your disposal, and you can clearly see that from round 4.
Yeah,
Um,
and
go ahead.
just to add on to that, I mean, for this round in particular on the likes of Visionary, like, yeah, it should not have come out in their favor, but it really highlighted one of the things I think they do the best out of at least the teams that we had seen in season 3, and out of a lot of teams I have seen play right now in season 4, is they are so good at cutting players off in their rotates, so good at setting up those crossfire angles, and so good at not taking those one-on-one engagements. I think that Visionary is a very smart team with the way they play. It's not just a team of fraggers, it's a team that plays smart, plays well, they have good chemistry, and they set themselves up in a position where right here you can see that they're pushing back the defense. They take almost immediate control of east side. They clear out the players playing from below. They gain that control on long desk, and they know that all they have to do here is honestly beat these guys out in gunfights, even being left on low HP. A poor use of utility from Cal. Actually, I wouldn't say a poor use of utility, but the utility not going the way he wanted really did lose him that round. And we saw in the end there, he was able to get the 1 frag, but was not able to get the refrag. As soon as one player peeked, he immediately had the Zofia peeking around that corner, not allowing for the clutch to happen. They knew his location. They pincered him in. It was beautifully executed.
Exactly. And we can't say that one player was just doing all the work, because everybody was. Some people may have a lot more kills than others, but like there's just so many multi kills in this match. I've never seen so many. Like Slasher in round 13, he had a 4K. In round 14, Psycho had a 3K. And Abadu, round 10, 3K. 4K from Defiance, round 5. And not only that, you could also see like how once I guess I would say it as Lycus waking up a little bit. Once Lycus started waking up, you could see later how over dominant they were. They were just constantly flawlessing Visionary. 1, 2, 3. I think three times Lycus flawless Visionary in a 16 round map.
Yeah, and that is something Lycus did very well. A talented team of fraggers. We had Sensei or Braxton over here getting those 2 little cheeky grenade kills. I know we were freaking out a little bit in the analyst channel because Braxton's known to be the king of nades, and he really did put that on display here. A wonderful use of utility. I'm really liking the way that that they play together on attack. I don't think it's as coordinated as a lot of attacks are, but they do play pretty heavily on intel. Like they're having the Jackal drone in here for Psycho, as Psycho is taking the control of the hatch over here. And they are playing that sledge in piano. But Psycho is really doing a lot of the work in here, trying to protect that sledge. And even though, I mean, I'll take back a point I was actually leading to, is like they play very connected, but the refrag ability typically is not there. They'll rely a little bit on those single player heroics, and they have occasionally gotten a little bit they peak a little bit too much, but they have guys that absolutely can perform and absolutely can ball out. I mean, Psycho and Hourly went absolutely ham, and they've really done it for themselves there.
I chose this round because I wanted to highlight the fact that of the teamwork that was going on between both teams. And this one and that one before, I know it just passed, but in round 11, Ash pushed in the kitchen, distracted Maestro, and allowed Hourly and Cal, I think it was Jackal and Ace, to become more flexible when pushing Jaeger. They were able to clear out Jaeger and ultimately secure the win on that one. And round 5, looking at this round 5, IQ and Ace, Defiance with a double C4 kill. He killed IQ and Ace at 2 minutes and 39 seconds, as you can see in a couple seconds over here. It was absolutely insane. Like, the amount of, usually people use utility, right? Or I see a bunch of players using utility and it doesn't really have much of an impact off of it. But in this one, you see Lycus, so many of the Lycus players, Sensei with the nades, Defiance with the freaking C4s. Like, oh, I loved it. It was an exciting match. I'm so glad this turned out to be a 16 round match because I wanted to see more, and I can't wait to see more in the next match.
Yeah, and as we're going to be wrapping up here, I want to talk a little bit about a few players to kind of keep track of moving forward. Defiance being one of those entry fraggers that I think went a little bit quiet to say, but he went +6 on entry, 6-0 on opening kills, and that is something that is an absolutely insane stat line to see. I mean, I've played with Defiance before. He's a pretty cool guy, but him absolutely balling out that round. Definitely got to look forward to. And on the likes of, my apologies, on the likes of Visionary, I think Abadu is going to be one of those guys that he plays that anchor role, and I tend to have a little bit more love for anchors because it's a little bit more towards my play style. He's an anchor and a hard breach, but he's getting the kills, he's getting the frags, but he's a support player that's fragging out rather than a fragger playing support player. And it's one of those teams that you really need as a it's something you really need as a solid rock in your team. Those are two players really to look forward to moving into this next map. We will be moving on to our casters, but I want to thank you for this time. An absolutely baller of a map. I'm looking forward for this next match coming ahead.
See you guys soon.
Thank you so much,
Welcome back.
analysts, and we are back. Oh my God, Chief, I did it again. I'm so sorry, but yeah, we're back, guys. We got Chief and Sticula in the booth yet again here. We're gonna hop into some Clubhouse action for the second time tonight. Clubhouse being that very, very common fun map, and it looks like we might actually be ready here, pending a couple things. Just a minute before we get started. But Chief, Stick, what are you guys thinking is gonna come out of this one? Are you thinking we might see another overtime?
Hard to say, honestly. Clubhouse, I think, though, with the infinite overtime, I would certainly like to see that because it feels like a lot of the games on Clubhouse are very even. It's one of the maps I think, like, a lot of teams understand how to play it. Same thing with Cafe, but we've got our game ready, so let's head into it. Let's see what the realization of that will be. Obviously, coming off the back of our previous one, a 9-7 victory, Lycus Empire managing to steal VSN's map pick, so they come into this with the advantage right off the bat. VSN, though, having gone to overtime in our first map, they've got a bit of a consolation prize in the points they were able to pick up. But Lycus onto their map now could tie us up, I believe. Having watched the earlier game, it was a win in regulation, I believe, for Wichita, and then an overtime win. So if Lycus are able to win in regulation here, they would be tied up pretty even.
And we're going to see Thatcher removed instantaneously, but will be Maverick joining him in the rubbish bin. But no, it's actually going to be Capital. And that basically means the Raptors play will be guaranteed by both defending teams. And that also means banner tricking will be just a little bit more powerful. You're going to now have to rotate players underneath and utilize vertical destruction if you want to actively deal with that position. Now, Mira's shut down. She can be quite an impressive operator, especially in the basement, but a factor no longer.
Yeah, that's a pretty common ban here in T3. Mira doesn't see a whole lot of play for Clubhouse. She can be pretty effective. Depends on how you utilize her. The same is said for Thatcher and Capital. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cade, but it's a Malusi instead. Cade being stuck on the board should promise us a bit more of a defender-sided game, being that you remove the Thatcher. There is less and less ways to clear those electric claws. You're going to be relying more on your Maverick as well as your Kali to clear those. So I am a bit worried that the defense is going to be maybe more favored than you would want them. But with the Malusi removed, I feel like it probably will even out pretty well.
And yeah, you can put kites in invulnerable positions, but it's not going to really work out very well for you because Maverick is just going to draw a line at the top of the reinforcement, the bottom of the reinforcement, poof, the metal goes bye-bye, and then Sledge or Zofia is going to open it up from range, and then that's going to be how the attackers are going to make these hard breaching holes. But that's the thing on this map, and especially with members like Defiance in this lobby, I can promise you he's going to be fishing and spawn peeking, trying to actively grab a hard breacher off some really extravagant roam. So he's going to be a player we're going to have to be watching out through for this entire map because Valkyrie isn't banned, and this is his favorite map with Valk.
Yeah, so he's got the opportunity after the side switch to pick up the Falcon operator, which he really enjoys playing. I've got a bit of recent knowledge, though, from this map, having seen Lycus play it twice now in AEL. The first time, it was almost a disappointing loss. We've got some stats, though, from our previous map before I clean up my thought. Round 16 was the first defensive CEO run on Consulate, so to see that bomb site only won after, you know, all the rounds of regulation past our standard overtime, Lycus pulling a win there was pretty incredible. But as I mentioned, Lycus have played this recently. I'm not sure how, I guess, reflective that will be of their current form, being that they've had a couple of lineup swaps, obviously when bringing in hourly. That does affect your competence on a map. But hopefully I can find my notes. I've got their first Playday game. They played versus Swift Uprising in AEL. It was, honestly, a pretty sad loss. They did not show up fully confident, but in this previous map, as we saw on Cons, it seemed like everyone was ready to play. There's no confidence issues. They're fully in the mindset of being prepared on game day, and that's something I really enjoy seeing. When you've got players who are shaky, you know, you come into this so impactful because this is your first game, can mean a lot. But Defiance, dead early. Badger will shut him down, and that's a big loss. Trying to hold a long angle, excellent shot to hit that with the Goyo, the Vector on such a long angle, very impressive.
I was going to be very critical of Visionary for not impacting the hatch, but maybe that was their strategy to try to bait Badger in some free kills. Panic is going to try to rotate down the central stairs, but it's not going to work out. Oh no, he actually tried to do a north spawn peek. That's something you can't be doing 90 seconds in this round. It makes far too much noise. Now, if that window was preset with holes in it beforehand, in theory, it could work. But you can't be making noise like that because you know there's individuals in kitchen. They're going to hear that audio cue and relay it to their teammates, which might have been exactly what happened. Now, Badger will once again be stuck on an island. He is currently in Dirt Tunnel, and there is no hope for him to rotate away unless he's going to try to challenge an L85 at range.
Yeah, he's stuck between a massive rock and a hard place here, but the time that he's been able to waste inside dirt ultimately really valuable so far. Since they tagged up a little bit as he tries to aggress down from bottom main. He's forced back, playing a bit more conservatively. He's crouch walking. I wonder if this is them being a bit wary of a possible flank. Psycho will take out Avenue though, so more and more frag grenades. Braxton is on his way during the first map to getting some kind of frag grenade record, but now Psycho is picking things up as Braxton has switched over to the Ash. Slasher will frag things back and taking out the Sledge, so the soft breach is gone, and Badger making his mark with another frag as he shuts down a player, I believe, where was that? Honestly, no idea. He might have been on dummy corners or possibly on the vertical play, but for now, Call is the subject of our next topic, having been tagged up, and both players from the offense last alive and stacked up at bottom main.
Here comes the rush into Moto. The Type 89 is going to be able to find a kill. And now just on Sensei, who's going to be trying to make the challenge. It's not going to work out well for him as an M590 waiting to say hello. And the thing was, Lycus Empire looked so strong at the start of round number 1. They were finding ways of shutting down the defenders, but they got a little bit too complacent. They weren't watching the clock, and that clock continued to click on down, and they weren't running through their checklist because they're too busy holding tight angles. Once they realized that time was no longer on their side, they tried to get aggressive once again, but the defenders were prepared.
Yeah, I think Lycus in that round ultimately moved a little bit too slowly. They seem to have a lot of concerns about some top floor pressure. Psycho was kind of lingering at top main. He was constantly checking around him to make sure nobody was coming up from the top floor, and I wonder if that signals maybe Lycus is not wanting to go for a full clear. Here's something a bit unusual, though, in the rotation. An initial win on Church, and now we're heading up to the tertiary bomb site of Gym Bedroom. I wonder if this is maybe Visionary trying to catch Lycus off guard, but what it could do is give Lycus the opportunity to tie it up with a weaker bomb site.
Well, this is a unique reinforcement coming out by Abidu. It's going to be reinforcing the connector wall, the construction wall. Most teams elect to leave that wall entirely open and shotgun it out so you have a nice long line of sight. And it looks like a player has crashed, so we're going to be going back over to caster cams as we rehost the lobby. But honestly, as you're highlighting in round number 1, it just seemed like the attackers were far too slow. And here on the tertiary bomb site, it could happen once again. You have to be meticulous with your hard breach utility, and the whole purpose of the tertiary bomb site is actually to waste out that tertiary utility. And now, well, you're not going to have that element of surprise.
Certainly not. But one thing to mention, I definitely see where you're coming from in that point. Attacking Gym Bedroom is very similar in some respects to how you attack Reading on Cafe, because you have to attack the extension. Going for a default take doesn't really work because you need to be able to apply pressure from cons as well as maybe going into logistics. Otherwise, the defenders are given free reign to play in the strongest, most defensible positions. If you don't have somebody locking off the rotate, it doesn't matter if you get the jacuzzi wall open because you can never get the plant down. You're constantly going to be worrying about somebody from master bedroom denying the plant.
I absolutely agree, my friend. And that's the thing, right? We're talking about the element of surprise. Well, this tertiary bomb site will no longer deliver this. So what is Visionary going to do? Are they going to change up their operators? Well, no, they can't, because they're stuck with that bomb site and they're stuck with those operators. But in theory, you could start to change your reinforcement placements, your gadgetry placements, try to bait the attackers to do something that they're not prepared for. We've seen teams do this before, where instead of utilizing a true SSG style roam, they're stuck with those operators, but they actually reinforce the hatches. They put all their utility on the top floor and just do a more traditional style hold, or they go all in and they really try to bait the attackers in doing this crazy rush. So you do have those options, but the problem here at the tertiary bomb site is you don't have that level of flexibility as you do in the basement.
All right. Well, what are your thoughts, Salco? Because now we're kind of just sort of hanging out, waiting for the rehost to come through. Is there anything you've spotted out in that first round you'd like to comment on?
Well, not a whole lot in particular, more than what you guys have already commented on in terms of honestly, just everything you guys have said has been pretty true. So I'm just looking to see Lycus potentially overcome just a couple small mistakes, like we're all mentioning here, to see about picking up that potential win. For the second round, however, if we end up going back into Gym Bedroom, I think Lycus does have a pretty solid chance at picking up that round, because as we all have seen and as we know, Gym Bedroom is historically fairly attacker-sided. Oh, and you know what? I just got the call out from my administrator chat that we are going to be sending it back into the game. So I'm going to leave it back in the capable hands of you guys, and we'll see you back at the end.
Hello and welcome back to our lovely faces. Welcome back to Storm Competitive Series powered by HyperX. It is currently round number 2 on the second map. It is Clubhouse. Lycus Empire in overtime was able to secure not their map pick win. That was Visionary's map pick. And they're going to be trying to go 2 for 2 this evening.
One thing to look at is because we're going to CCTV and cache, it could play out a little bit differently. We're not heading to that tertiary bomb site. It doesn't sort of work the same way as you would expect. I wanted to comment on, if we were going to Gym, the lack of a buck, because you need a buck, frankly, to attack CCTV, cache, specifically if you're fighting that extension, because cache is an area of the map in that extension where somebody will, I can guarantee you this, somebody's going to play behind green box, and the ability to close out that position is crucial. If somebody is sitting there wasting your time, that's an opportunity for them to burn the clock, to get a frag, and to stall you out, none of which are positive for the attackers. And you're going to want to come into that bomb site with a clear plan to cut things out. But let's take a look at CCTV and Cash. This is the bomb site I was expecting us to go to as our next in the rotation, with Visionary having won the basement bomb site. Obviously, they cannot repeat it. We've got, I would say, the most default lineup you could ask for on this site.
Well, you're talking about default. It seems to be like we're stuck back in time if you remove Wamai from this picture. A lot of teams were electing to do almost the exact same utility placement, putting your Kaids downstairs in garage. Now, back in the day, you'd bring a bandit to actively trick this east wall, but that won't be a factor. And the reason we don't see any utility on the east wall is pretty simple, because Hourly is going to open it up for free. Now, you can create some strategies where you make some shotgun holes in the wall, or you try to nitrocell away Hourly. Now, the way nitrocell propagation works is as long as there's a soft wall, and that's all you need for the shrapnel to basically start to curve around walls. It doesn't make sense from a physics standpoint, but for some reason, nitrocells just work that way through soft walls.
It is a bit confusing, and one of the questions I wanted to ask as we headed into Clubhouse is whether or not we're going to see the, I think it's called the Mavkin trick. It's kind of a new age way to Mav the wall. I have no idea whether or not it would be legal in SCS. It's really unusual in the way that it works, and it requires a lot less dedication in the gas from the Mav. I'm kind of confused what Hourly is going for here, because the Maverick trick hasn't been completed. I think there's still that section at the bottom left he needs to break, or somewhere else on the wall, but this is more and more of an opportunity for the defense to get aggressive and take out a key pillar of the hard breach here for Lycus Empire.
Hourly has to expose his entire body if he wants to open up the wall. He finally removes the last pixel, and that's going to be the east breach now open. The problem was it took them 90 seconds to accomplish that goal. So what are they going to do now? Well, they're in a position to actually go for the execute. Flashbangs are going to start to ring out, which is a tall tale to actually land those properly and actually remove those members, but they're still actively lurking. And there's Badger. He's going to try to go for the wide swing, but unable to actually land his shots, as Sensei's going to get the opening kill, and it might be more rolling in favor of Lycus Empire.
Well, you lost your Cade early, so hopefully he's got both of his Electro Claws deployed, and I wouldn't imagine any other scenario. You've got both of them, it looks like, on the garage panel, so nothing to stop Call and the rest of his team from opening up the garage rotate, except for a very scuffed deployment of the X-Kairos. You are not going to have much luck getting through there, but Sensei, he's back with more and more frag grenades to deploy, and I'm very much so enjoying seeing him with these frags. He is just such a masterful operator with them, and he's been able to Kobe them into every single corner of which Visionary has been hiding. More and more utility being deployed to waste out by the CC window. Panic playing pretty aggressively here, holding the door angle. Somebody chooses to peek him. He could get taken out, but the damage is done onto Psycho. However, Defiance pushes up, takes down Abadu before being traded out. Psycho onto Slasher after he took out Defiance himself, and now Panic, the last defender, cut down by the R4C as Lycus Empire respond with an attacker win.
A terrible petition to be in when you're Jaeger, as you see all four attackers swarm his position. Everybody try and get a piece of Jaeger and eventually shut down for free. Now, Defiance's wide swing could have been a huge 2K in the round for him, but he was just unable to really land his shots. He hit somebody on the other side of the map, but he couldn't kill Jaeger and wasn't able to hit the 180-degree trick shot over to Slasher. And then now, finally, we're going to be seeing Gem Bedroom. Once again, it was shown and teased for a little bit, but the rehost messed that up. Now it's going to be the same exact lineup for Lycus Empire. So the assumption we made earlier that Visionary was trying to throw them off, it didn't really work out, or couldn't have worked out, because, well, look at Lycus Empire is very comfortable with this stock lineup.
No buck on the side of Lycus, so clearing things out will be made a bit more difficult. They've got 2 hard breachers, though, so it shouldn't be totally impossible. And considering how good Sensei is with those frags, you might not even need the buck to clear the green box angle. You should just be able to, you know, waste the magnets, waste the ADS, whatever they've got stacked up there, and toss in a nice little frag grenade to push back whoever is blocking. The big question for me, though, is how quickly do they get it done? A lot of the deciding factor in a success attacking gym and bedroom is how quickly you're able to execute and delete the extension from the defense inside of cache. If you move too slowly, that gives the defense opportunities during the late round to capitalize, and without a proper setup, can be very punishing.
Well, here comes Hourly. He's going to be attempting to do his Maverick trick once again. Now, there's less pressure on him this time since there's no defenders actually trying to aggressively peek him. He has the confirmation that there is a mute jammer nearby, so his only option is to open up this wall where he's currently doing it, or send his frag grenades underneath, and that will take far too much time. So he's going to work his way into opening up this wall. Now, hopefully he does his due diligence, actually confirm that there's no more metal pixels over here touching this wall. He needs to check it one more time because it looks like there's just a little bit left. And once again, Hourly is wasting far too much time opening up a single wall.
Not the best situation, and Defiance moving on up is totally surprised by the oil pit angle held by Panic. He'll be tagged up just a little bit, and now Panic will give it up. I honestly am not entirely sure if Defiance even knew where the shots came from, but it seems to completely ignore it, almost landing a few bullets onto Mai, who is able to rotate back and luckily save himself. Still to worry about, however, is this shield. The position at top red will make it so much more difficult to push into cache, and you're not going to be able to hard breach the east wall into cache itself. All the utility being deployed should force to rotate from this defender if he has any brain about him, but Slasher is a fragger, and he's going to stay put, continuing to contest things and stall out the round. A nade flies through, but he finally gives it up before it detonates.
Sometimes you're going to catch attacking teams off guard by standing your ground and still fighting. Something we're talking about the entire map number 1 is you have that option because you can still rotate away. The attackers might assume you rotated, and he does. So the attacker's assumption will be correct. Now the attackers have control of the entire east side of the map, but that's not enough. The bomb site is totally on the west side. They haven't done their due diligence, and they haven't even opened up Jacuzzi Wall, which means Lycus Empire is going to have to walk through Fatal Funnels, and with 10 members of this lobby left up and standing, it's going to be almost impossible to do so unless they start to get aggressive. That's the kill they needed. Badger's going to overextend, show his feet, and this is going to allow the attackers to have an avenue on through, but Panic's going to find 2 as the fury of kills roll on through. It's a sea of orange, and somehow Visionary is able to win it out.
That'll be something for the instant replay. Gun him all down inside logistics. Incredible. I mean, that was the perfect display of why you don't full stack into logistics. Because one player on a lucky angle from stash spot swings wide and combos that with the Wamai hiding further back atop main. Made it so difficult for Lycus in the round. And that is really going to help the Jaeger stats after getting so many picks there. Ultimately, Lycus Empire fell into that trap. The Mav was so slow to get the wall open, it was very difficult to clear through cache, and finally, once they were able to move into cache, it seemed like they were kind of lost for what to do next. I don't think the Maverick would have had enough gas left in the Surrey Torch to go and open up the Jacuzzi Wall, so you're really limited to a very one-dimensional push. You have to push in through Condor, which is so difficult to push, or Logi. But the most impactful player from Map 1 was called with a 75% cost rating, and that doesn't surprise me. Call is a really well-rounded player. He can do a lot for his team. He's pretty good. I believe he's on the flex support. I don't have all the info on that. Obviously, Lycus have switched up their roster changes, so the roles may still be evolving.
5 seconds remaining.
And yeah, that's the thing. Both these rosters are technically brand new. They've been trying to craft it over the past few weeks. And we've been saying this through the majority of this series. We don't really know how these teams are going to be playing because their strategies have yet to be created. Now it looks like they're set up for another dirt rush. Defiance has to be very careful of this because, well, last time he overextended in this position, he was shut down for free. You can see a lot of utility from Lycus Empire being sent over to dirt tunnel, and it's Defiance' turn to walk on through as Psycho's going to find a kill of his own. And where's Defiance? There he is getting a kill, a bad wide swing, and things are not looking good for Visionary once again.
Lycus have control of dirt with 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock. That is almost unheard of. Just, they've moved so quickly to get this done that it's incredible, and it's going to give them a ton of control. Sensei gunned down Badger after himself took out the Mavs, so now you're 1 for 1 on your gunfights, but Lycus has so many more trophies in their bag. Already the Pulse Vigil and Maestro dead, and now Slasher's position understood by the rest of Lycus. Mai holding inside blue. The site mostly vacant of players, and it should be an easy drop to get this plant down. Sensei on the coverage, removes Slasher, but Mai pushing on in, finds Defiance. Almost gets the second on the pre-fire, but there's so many players to contest with. Combine that with the activated diffuser, and there's no chance left as Braxton finds the final kill as Lycus Empire fire back with the success attacking the bottom floor. Another really back and forth round here, and this has been so much more equal than what we saw on Consulate.
A horrible position to be in when you're Mai. He was stuck in the 1v3. They knew exactly where he was. He was trying to get aggressive and trying to find kills of his own. But the thing was, Lycus Empire did their due diligence in this round. And round number 1, Lycus Empire was far too passive. They played it slowly after getting their opening kills. But here, Lycus Empire almost looked like a completely different roster. They had pressure the entire round, pressure at like a level of 120%. There was no way for Visionary to do anything other than just attempt to get aggressive back, fight fire with fire, and sadly that didn't work out well, as it's going to be a blitz shown, but chat seems to say that it might be a black screen, and since Lycus Empire already utilized their rehost, they won't be able to leave this round.
Locate and defuse as many bombs as they need.
So the blitz is stuck, but I'm unsure of whether or not Braxton will be able to use that operator. What a way to have blitz come out, you know, not by choice. You don't have some kind of talented shield player. Not to say that Braxton is bad with shields, I just haven't ever seen him on a shield. But what a way to have our first shield here in SCS. Attacking the basement, you probably would have wanted to run the same lineup we saw previously because of how successful it was. That was one of the most efficient and effective dirt clears I've ever seen. They were at the dirt door into Arsenal with 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock. Barely any time wasted. If Lycus Empire can repeat that, they have a surefire ticket to win this round.
Yeah, 4-2 splits are very common, so Lycus Empire's already accomplished their goal. Anything else that they win is just going to better them off in the long run. Once again, Hourly's going to be attempting his Maverick tricking, but instead of actually opening up the wall, he's going to be making a nice crescent shape, and then allowing Sensei the blitz to bull charge his way on through. The horses are released. Sensei's going to start running, but he's going to be scared away by the Goyo TCSG. He's going to walk straight to the M762, and Defiance is going to stop that rush dead.
Unfortunate. Well, the shield does not get much use in this round. Defiance, unfortunately, does the ETKs. He shot his teammate. He got too scared on that angle, and unfortunately, now that's the opening death. A skin. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Given that Blitz doesn't see play out, I would have figured out why, but because he's DK, things should be playing out as normal, and Defiance has been able to find a kill, so the retribution is there, and now we're back even to 4-4. Defiance himself tagged up just a little bit. I don't know if that'll have a whole lot of impact now as they move down to bottom main. You better be worried about that Nitro Cell. Slasher's got it in hand. Psycho's on low health, but it misses! Oh no, that could have been so much impact from a single toss, but Psycho and Defiance, luck be with them, they live another day.
90 seconds left in this round. We're back to equal man count with 8 members of this lobby left up and standing. But Slasher, he wants to put his team on the map. He is going to be holding close quarters in M590. Defiance has an avenue to walk all the way over to Moto. That's exactly the macro strategy that Visionary is trying to employ. They want him to get aggressive. Defiance is eager to do so. He killed his teammate early on, and here comes the steamroll trying to do his best fraction impression as he now has Arsenal control. He's going to be looking for some, but the only thing he's going to find is his own demise as a myriad of kills roll through for the orange team, and now it's just Hourly stuck in this 1v4. He has an M4 in hand, but it might not be good enough.
Yeah, he's going to need a whole lot more than an M4, and already being down 0-2. Close to getting the shot onto the Jaeger. This is really a game of whether or not Visionary want to peek and go for this frag. Jaeger does so, tagged up a little bit by the M4, but still continues to remain here, wasting the clock, and this is the perfect way to play this from Visionary. There's no route in for Hourly. If he tries to rush through Ash Wall, the smoke, or rather Mute, holding close with the shotgun, you're not winning that gunfight, and he'll just cross up, destroys Hourly. The buckshot guns him down as Visionary respond after losing the basement in a quite disappointing fashion. They're able to defend it and find a win.
Well, as you were mentioning, the round started off a little bit awkward for Lycus Empire. The forced TK because Braxton was unable to select an operator. And honestly, I've never actually heard of the black screen glitch before. I mean, apparently it happens, but I've never had that happen to me in a comp game or a ranked match. But sometimes the Chonka just doesn't want you to win a particular round. But fortunately for the attackers, they're going back over to Jim. They've seen this bomb site once before. They didn't win it in round number 3, but they can still create a winning strategy if they understand why they lost the round.
And a lot of why they lost the round is the way that they attacked it on a macro scale. They only tried to clear from construction, and Jim is a bomb site where if you attack it right, it will crumble. But if you attack the bomb site on its strongest front, that being the extension and wasting all the utility and time, that weakens the offense and puts you in a much more difficult position once you reach the bomb site, and oftentimes you aren't able to attack it with full strength. And that's why it's so important to attack this on 2 fronts. We've got our community poll. Lycus, 57 to Visionaries, 43. I'm not too entirely surprised by that. Lycus has a big fan base, and ultimately coming into this, I think they are the favorite team. But it still proved to be pretty close, not only in our first map having to go all the way to, I believe, the 16th round of overtime, but now we're still here on Clubhouse fighting a very even showing with Lycus having shown up on multiple rounds. Visionary in the lead so far. They could take this next one, though history isn't cited too well for Lycus, so that does give them a bit of an advantage. I want to see, as I mentioned, dynamics. We need to have a push that isn't one-dimensional, Chief, and if they don't get that done, I'm going to be pretty disappointed.
Absolutely. Right now, they need to rely on their frag grenades. In theory, you can send somebody up the red stairs and push those frag grenades and try to deal with Wamai, because that was the apex point for Visionary. They had no answer back, they being Lycus. They spent far too much time dealing with the ADSs and the Wamai pancakes. And for every second of time they wasted, that means Wamai gets even more powerful because he has more pancakes at his disposal. Fortunately for Lycus Empire this time, they've opened up the wall in the first 60 seconds, where the last time it took them about 70 seconds to accomplish this goal. But we need utility to start to go down range and deal with Slasher ASAP.
Defiant seems to also have taken control of Garage much easier than the previous attempt. Last time he was sort of tagged up by a player in Moto. Frag grenade from Sensei locks off the rotate, dealing a bit of damage to Panic and Slasher, but ultimately I don't think anything too round changing. Slasher takes out Sensei. A wonderful shot there through the floor, and Panic and taking out Defiance as well. This attack is crumbling at the seams. Call will attempt to try and maybe reconstruct this, put the pieces back together as he takes out Panics. But the Wamai still remains, and he's not too keen to give this up. He's already dead, though, as Hourly cuts him down. He tries to go in front of the doorway, a questionable decision. I think there was still more time you could have wasted hiding in the cubby, but with so much hard bridge to worry about, you have to make a decision, and unfortunately in the heat of the moment, he made the one that got him killed. But now, after so much struggles to take control of Cash, Lycus Empire are able to even it out and put themselves at, I guess, an acceptable showing. Call has been incredibly weakened in that previous engagement, but it matters not. He takes out the Mute holding the bomb chassis angle, and now the advantage goes the way of Lycus.
Both teams sacrifice 2 members each on the east side of the map, but it's going to continue to mount not in favor of Visionary, as there's 2 members left alive and standing. They have no potential way of getting back in touch with one another, so they're going to have to rely on their mechanical skills alone. And fortunately for Visionary, they have an Alda left alive and standing. It's going to chainsaw its way into a kill, but it's still Lycus Empire control this round as Badger going to fall off screen. It is now just poor Abadu. Shots are flying everywhere, but he's gonna kill the planter. The bomb is now surrendering on the island. Where is Psycho? He's gonna have to rotate, get the bombs down, but Psycho's gonna go for the hunt, and with pistol in hand, he's gonna be unable to land the bullets.
What a way to close out that round and exit the first half. Visionary, they started it off well, but it got a bit crazy towards the end there. The Maestro luckily took out the Maverick before the M4 destroyed him, and he was able to drop down the hatch, and simply Psycho didn't have any time left to go either pick up the diffuser or find the Maestro hiding below. And were he have gone and attempted either, I think the Maestro still probably would have won. They probably had a evil eye positioned somewhere in the master bedroom that could have given him a ping, or simply gone for a sound call, shots through from the default plant location. There were so many ways that he could have dispatched that round. The Visionary really had no way that they were going to lose. Ultimately, though, it got very close. Lycus were able to take the man advantage. They fought it back from a very negative standpoint, and the credit goes to them for making the effort. But now we'll see what they bring to the table as far as their defensive strategies.
Well, it looks like a very traditional style strategy with a little bit of SSG style roam flair in it. We're going to see some small amount of offside pressure. That's going to be Defiance, and he's going to do what he does best on this map, be a nuisance on the side of the attackers. He has a lot of avenues in which he likes to spawn peek. Sometimes he'll go out through Swift. Sometimes he'll do this crazy run out through Garage. And the thing is, it's going to be on the attackers of Visionary to drone him out immediately and do a dual or a triple push on him, set up a crossfire, and punish him ASAP. Because if he's allowed to be throughout the map, basically under 90 seconds, he is going to punish them somewhere in one of the most crucial moments of their roam.
Well, speaking of the roam, Visionary are going to need to counter it in some respects, but the Vigil is actually on site right now. I'm not sure what Defiance is doing. Maybe he's just late to getting set up, and I think that's more the case here. We'll see him positioned at top main. You probably would hope... No, your exothermic. Oh, that is such a crucial loss into such a very simple spot. Losing it on the dirt wall, that is never something that you want to see. Slasher will nade to waste the Electroclaw, and he seems a bit hesitant. Wait, the Electroclaw didn't get broken, so an exothermic, a nade wasted for no result, nothing, no bounty for Visionary in that round. A massive reversal of fortunes, and now you are really suffering because of that. Your hard breach removed by a significant margin, and you better hope that your Hibana, your ex-Kairos, gets the hatch without much success in the impact tricking from the Lycus defenders, because the more ex-Kairos you waste is just a big thing to worry about when you've already lost an exothermic off the rim.
The problem is there's 2 sets of impact grenades on the side of Lycus Empire, which means in theory all the X-Kyro pellets could be shut down for free. The first set's gonna be put on the hatch, but there's no answer back whatsoever. It's going to take 2 impact grenades, but it's going to be the 3rd that finally lands. I'm not sure if the hatch actually opened up in the long run. That could have been a huge mistake, as now Mai's starting to work his way down central stairs. He's going to spot one all the way by Dummy's box. A little bit of shots exchanged, just a warning shot over the bow for the time being.
Still struggling to get set up here. The kind of mini game of getting the hatch open, dealing with the impact trick, stalling out Visionary oh so much. Maestro waiting for an opportunity to swing. Should he give the intel or the call? No. That Slasher is waiting. They've got the church wall open, which is something that doesn't happen all too often in a majority of these attacks. Wrapping around the corner, Vigil almost gets 2 onto the Thermite and IQ, but Abadu is ready in the close gunfight, mowing down Defiance in a very aggressive attempt to double up on the frags. Unfortunate, he will find no success. Maya and Slasher getting plenty of kills here, and now Slasher on the double, taking out Psycho and Sensei. Call chokes out one with the gas canister, and the SMG-11 almost finds its second target. Slasher close on the doorway, should be able to take out Call considering he's low HP, but they've got intel, I think. Maybe not so, as he rotates in blue, spots the sledge, but he falls back. The perfect decision with so little time. Let Panic has actually been revived, and this just got so much more difficult for Call, who continues to be tagged up on the gunfight from Moto, and Slasher, with the SMG-11 in hand, finds the 3rd kill on the round. A perfect performance from the sledge to shut down this basement defense.
The most dangerous game of Ring Around the Rosie is going to be Lycus Empire losing that exchange, and it's all stemming off their over-aggression. We saw Defiance trying to do the Hail Mary play, trying for the hero play, but the problem with that is it's a high-risk strategy. You're going for a gunfight that's in theory in favor of the attackers if they're looking that direction, because very rarely you can see 2 attackers looking at exactly the same door. Defiance took the gamble in that scenario, and he lost the gamble, shutting down his life far too early on. And then it would have required Kyle to rotate all over to Ginny Box. And the thing was, that rotation never came through because of the top pressure from Visionary. It was a huge oversight by Lycus Empire, and if they're able to make the adaptation here at round number 8, they in theory could win it, and hopefully Defiance is able to continue this road.
Oh, here's another fact. Over the past 6 rounds, Visionary has a 100% win rate on Gym, 66% on Church, and a 0% win rate on CCTV, so oftentimes considered the strongest bomb site. CCTV did not go their way, and I think I have an explanation for that. Playing the most common bomb site leaves you open to the most well-understood attacking strategies. And Siege being a game that's all about the attacker readiness and understanding of how you need to execute onto a bomb site, oftentimes playing a site that everyone knows how to play can lead you into a situation where the attackers, they don't have to go for some crazy overarching play. They do the default stuff, and should they win their gunfights and correctly deploy their utility, that can very well mean that they find success. It also has a lot to do with Lycus Empire being very good in their fundamentals of attacking CCTV. They've been around for a long time. They've combined, have a ton of competitive experience, and I think that perfectly answered why Visionary were never able to win on the basement.
But it's time for Visionary to show their fundamentals. Have they done their due diligence? Have they confirmed that Defiance is roaming? And as I said, that he's going to be rotating back over to his bomb site. He still has impact grenades in hand, and he could be attempting for an impact trick, but he's now going to be working his way up the central stairs, trying to actively contest the kitchen hatch. And if there aren't attackers looking in that direction, if there aren't flank drones anywhere near that, he can get a free kill. Mai is still off screen trying to find an avenue into Dirt Tunnel. Defiance thought better about that decision, as he's going to be rotating back down to central stairs.
So, I wonder how things are going to change in this round, having played now basement twice in a row. Maybe there was something Lycus Empire saw in the previous round that they did wrong, and they're going to try and rectify that heading into round number 8. The operator lineup looks mostly standard, but Defiance taking out Badger early is a great change of pace. You always need to worry about that vertical play, and yes, it's difficult to execute, but Defiance does it perfectly. A nade tossed up, takes a bit of his HP away and almost gets a shot there, banging through the main stairs window. Mai and Panic, I believe, taking damage from explosives, and Psycho now adding on to this roam, almost takes out Thermite, but the 5.56 gets the better of the Jaeger and taking him down, and now the man count is back to an even footing. I wonder what Defiance is up to. He's still on the roam. He's taking his teammates' earlier position. Maybe he's going to try and strike twice, catch them off guard here. You're going to be worrying about, though, the Maverick. He could very well catch them out on this flank. An exothermic deploy doesn't get impacted. No. Panic TK's Abadu. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but now at least the TKs are even between the shots. Slasher shuts down Call as they begin to push in for control of Dirt.
Here comes the suicide push through Dirt. The problem is this is a fatal funnel, and if the defenders are aware of this, they're just going to dish out punishment. It's going to be a hard lesson for Visionary, as the majority of their players are going to all fall in Dirt. It's going to be a pure burial ground over there, as the TK started off the round, and it's going to end the round for Visionary. A huge oversight. It was an early pre-fire from Panic, trying to shut down Defiance on that impact hold that he made earlier on. The problem with that was Defiance was nowhere near that. His presence through the map basically got him a free kill without having to pull the trigger.
Well, Lycus saw what went wrong in round number 7, and even though there were, yes, a few TKs on the side of VSN, I guess you could chalk the round up to that misplay. I think this also has to do with Lycus changing up the playstyle. They never really gave full control of the first floor to Visionary. They continue trying to move back up, trying to take control of areas like Lounge, Stock, as well as a little bit over towards Bar. And that's something that you want to see. You shouldn't be giving the attackers the freebies, these opportunities to kind of sit in a position and feel comfortable. That's a big thing for successful defense. If you can make sure that at every step the attackers are uncomfortable, are unwary, they don't know what they're doing, that leads you into a situation where you get to take the upper hand and play the style of Siege which can be very effective, the strategy of guerrilla warfare.
Honestly, Defiance, I think, has pioneered that strategy in T3, where he throws his Valkyrie cam, and honestly, who knows where, but he'll be somewhere lurking on that camera, and he will be hunting actively for members of the Visionary roster to put on his trophy wall. Now, currently, just judging by his positioning through the map, it's most likely to be a strip club run out for him, but the world is his oyster. He can manipulate this map in any way he chooses, and he can always hunt for more. That's the thing. Will he do that? That's the thing. When he's on this map, he has the option of playing passively and just wasting time by the attackers assuming he's going to be aggressive.
Defiance consistently will play the Valkyrie and Strip when they're defending CCTV. He likes to sit near, I call it the red toolbox door. It's kind of the southwest-most room of Strip. He'll toss out a Valk Cam, sometimes in the drone hole, and he waits for the hard breaching process on the left garage panel. Once he sees that, he goes for the run out. He tries to deny things, but in this round, Visionary aren't even trying to do that. They're ignoring it completely. He needs to come up with something that's going to work in this case. You can actually just see him at the edge of the screen. The problem with Defiance roaming in Strip Club is that with his teammate dead, now this site, whether Visionary knows it or not, is incredibly weak. There's only 3 players left there. Defiance on the flank, I think, may have been close to spotted by Slasher. And Abadu moving slowly in the gym hallway does clue me into that. The big question is, who knows where they are? Defiance knows the position of Abadu, dealing a bit of damage, but now falling back to play more passive. This is the guerrilla warfare that I've come to expect from him. Not giving the attackers any advantage and making sure that you're constantly worrying about Defiance coming up on the flank.
Now, the top hatch has not been opened up by the defenders, but you can still put your nitrocell there and blow up Thermite. But Defiance is nowhere near that zip code. He has gone all the way back over to what you called was Red Box Hallway. He's going to go for the run out. He's going to find Slasher. There's no way this kill should have worked. A huge oversight by Visionary, and that's going to be a member sacrificed to the classic Defiance kill. Oh, you can't allow those to happen, Visionary.
Somebody needs to do some review, because Defiance, this is what he does consistently. Every time they defend this, he tries to go and run out, and if it's working, why stop? Defiance getting more and more kills. He's free to rotate back up to the side, so it doesn't matter how weak it is. Sensei will take out 2. Both Abadu and Panic, and cleaning things up will be Call as he removes Mai and Lycus Empire with an excellent defense. A total misplay from Visionary in not realizing that Defiance will be on the flank. If you get a Jackal drone him out, drone in the Jackal. You can shut down and almost guarantee yourselves the opening kill, because Defiance does this every single time, and this is why you must VOD review your opponents. Because if I was the coach for Visionary, I'm telling you, go kill Defiance. Lock off his rotate, figure out what he does, take your frag, and attack the bomb site.
And the thing is, Defiance doesn't need a Valkyrie for this. He's done it with Cav. He's done it with Warden. Honestly, if the operator has a gun, he's probably done that run out. And apparently, it's been 14 successful runouts for him, as you can see in all chat. And you're highlighting, why aren't teams doing VOD reviews? And the thing is, Defiance has been on numerous rosters over the past year, and he does the same thing, whether it was In Control Nation or NSO, it doesn't matter. He does the same things. How on earth does Visionary not understand that? It's basically typical Defiance. He loves to play that aggressive roles. Why aren't there flank drones on bar? Why aren't there flank drones over there on the west side of the map by Strip? There needs to be some type of adaptation, and Visionary just isn't making it. Now, fortunately for them, it is a tertiary bomb site, but unfortunately for them, Defiance is back doing Defiance things, preparing for a run out and an aggressive peek towards the west.
Well, there's people who spawn there. It depends, are they ready for it? Maybe? They're prone, crouching around the corner. Oh, what a shot! Oh, and a knife kill for Badger. What is going on in this round? That's the exact play you want to execute. Defiance, you gotta know better. Don't do the same run out twice. Don't linger in Strip Club again. Visionary have started this round off excellently, and I'm still confused. What happened between Badger and Psycho? Observer, if we could pan over to their death location, that would be very helpful in trying to suss out just exactly what happened between those two. Because a knife kill? Maybe he was down, maybe that's a bit of BM, who knows. But now, Lycus Empire are really struggling, and Visionary have heeded my advice. We're going for a more of a dynamic push. You've got Slasher holding down Cash and CCTV, making sure that nobody is able to rotate and play aggressive, and Abadu will come to back end as well. You've also got Mai, and I believe that would be Slasher out on the balcony. No, actually, it will be Mal and Panic. So they're both waiting out here. They've been able to open up the jacuzzi wall. This is perfect. You've got your opening kills. Now do your basics in taking objective control.
Lycus is really going to double and triple down this aggression. Cal was trying to find some kills. He's going to dish out enough damage, but not enough to be successful. Abadu's going to get another kill, and things are really not looking good for the Lycus Empire. But if anybody can clutch up a round, it is this roster. They're going to have to do almost the impossible. Find 5 kills, but they're in actually really odd micro-positioning spots, which means they could get kills their own. Hourly's going to find 1, unable to land the second kill, and it's going to be now Visionary once again finding themselves on match point. They've been here once before, and they lost in overtime. It is just Visionary's goal. They need 1 round, and it is round 11. It is deja vu of map 1 all over again.
Well, it'll be a basement defense. CCTV and Jim having been locked off after Visionary has started to establish this little streak of theirs. The basement is a back and forth objective. It can go either way. I think for Lycus, we did see them win it recently in round number 8, but they got completely shut out in number 7. And that leaves a lot of uncertainty for me. I'm not sure how the Visionary attackers would fare, if they don't have a TK, if they don't have, that early advantage. Lycus may not win. It feels like kind of a cop-out to say that, but Lycus's win on this bomb site came down to them with a free kill off the bat, due to the Blitz skin. And that can change a lot of things. It slowed down Visionary's attempt to take control of Dirt, something that they excelled so much in for round number 7. And maybe that'll be the big sticking point here. Can Visionary move fast to take control of Dirt, or is it going to be a more slow and steady offense?
I prefer to be very methodical on this map, but I'm actually part of the DZ school of thought. You clear the entire map exactly the same way. DZ likes to clear from the west, making sure there's nobody on the second floor,
10 seconds
working
to
your
go.
way down now from the east, and clearing from strip all the way over to garage,
5 seconds to
confirming
go.
there's no rotation whatsoever by the defenders. That
Attackers
should,
are
in
moving
theory,
out to
take
locate
about
a bomb
90
and defuse it.
seconds, and that leaves you basically 60 seconds to turn all of kitchen floor into Swiss cheese, and then that gives you the final 30 seconds to go for execute. It requires frame perfect movement, and if you've been scrimming and dry running that strategy, it will work out perfectly. But that's the big if you are actually prepared for that type of clear. It works brilliantly, especially against rosters like Lycus Empire and members like Defiance who are constantly getting aggressive.
Well, talk about getting aggressive. Slasher is trying to move quickly in defeating the top floor presence. Defiance again on the roam. This time he's got the Vigil, so he will be more difficult to drone out. This is what we've seen him from the past in their basement defenses, but he gives it up early, going back to side. I wonder if maybe he's going to rotate, come up from blue, and cause issues in another corridor of this map. We saw a lot of focus from Lycus Empire trying to retake control of stock because of the pressure it allows you to establish the stock flank that you can get over towards the kitchen, as well as the pressure that you could apply. Should you take out a sledge as he's soft reaching open these holes in the floor? If you're peeking down, trying to hold that angle, making sure that nobody retakes main, that could be a freebie for anyone that crosses through. And if they're lacking a flank drone, we've already established there's no Nomad or Gridlock and a Nitro Cell dealing a little bit of damage. You're always going to be worried about that. But Slasher in a perfect position to deny the flank as he sits at top red, or top blue rather. But Defiance is just going to take another route. He's coming up through from the garage ladder and just now he's on the top floor.
Well, Defiance does Defiance things, trying to be a menace in every attacker's side. And if he isn't caught out and isn't drone out, he will get a free kill. And here they come. The Titans are going to meet. Defiance as the audio cue. It's going to be the slow peek through for Panic. And it's going to be a huge mistake as he's now shut down. And Defiance's position is known. He's going to be hunting for more kills. He's going to be impacting and meleeing that highway window. That's going to give away his position, and now he's going to be retreating back over into the basement. It's once again a huge oversight by the defenders, and they're going to have to regroup, punish him, and they're going to do exactly that. They have control of Moto, and they're primed and ready to go for this execute.
Slasher moving down blue, attempting to take control of E-Box. The Jaeger still holding steady behind it. Slasher could be incredibly weak. The Jaeger goes for a bit of a jiggle peek, and Slasher looks the wrong way. He's too busy and occupied with the Maestro on AKs. The IQ sprinting on in, cut down by the shotgun from Sensei. Almost able to find another, but the mute is taken out. And Lycus Empire's man advantage does change just a little bit. Abadu beginning to plant, but the Maestro and the Jaeger on the crossfire. Call with the SMG-11. And Lycus Empire take round number 11 and continue in what has been a very back and forth game. Call missing a crucial shot there. Lucky that the Mav didn't get off and try to knife him to boost that KD.
Well, my friend, I think we're back to where we were. It is match point in favor of Visionary, exactly where match number 1 was like. And if Lycus Empire is able to deliver this win, we'll be going over to overtime. And I think it's the team that is able to win the majority of their gunfights is going to be the team that wins OT. But it's going to be really reliant on, well, the Lycus Empire to change something up. Defiance was able to win Cash CCTV simply because he was able to do what he wants. Those really exaggerated roams and spawn peaks. We need him to be shut down. And if Visionary is able to do that, that might be the round win that they desire.
Certainly could be. This is a very familiar position, as you mentioned. The storyline's almost matching up entirely, and maybe we could take a look at the round history to get an idea of what has transpired as far as rounds going back and forth so far in our series here. But as I mentioned, Lycus Empire, if they take this next round, I think that guarantees them the points advantage, having already won the first series. Going to overtime would be maybe something that you could stack in your books, but one thing I neglected to mention, with Visionary reaching match point here, if they win, they will not take the #1 spot because of the fact that we saw earlier Wichita won an overtime game, giving them 2 points, and they won in regulation, giving them 3 to make a total of 5. There's only 4 points possible for Lycus Empire now, and it could very well be 2 if Visionary are able to close it out and maybe fight back a little bit here in round number 12. CCTV, a bomb site that we've discussed, it does favor those more traditional offenses, but with Defiance on the Valkyrie, he can cause a bit of a disturbance, and he can make almost any round play out differently than you would typically expect.
So it's Mai's turn to now be on the Maverick. He's going to try to better himself and hourly try to open up this east wall as fast as possible. Now, both of these Maverick players have seemed to really struggle opening up this east wall. It can be a tall order, especially with bullets whizzing all around you. And it's actually Hourly's turn to get a little bit aggressive. He has his ulta ready and eager to find that Maverick. And he's going to be shut down. He wasn't prepared for the wide swing coming through. Slash doesn't get the first kill. That's going to be a member of Lycus Empire shut down for free. And once again, Maverick is still struggling with this wall.
Seems both Hourly and Mai having trouble with the hard breaching here, and it's a big worry. If you're sitting at 1 minute and 30 seconds and the hard breaching process has not yet been completed, Psycho going down though, so we've got a bit from Slasher to make up for the slow process and the slow down, frankly, that has gone through from this round. And now it seems that the hard breach has been successful, so with 2 opening picks and now the wall open, this round is looking dicey for Lycus Empire.
The round might be crumbling. The Empire might be being shut down, but Sensei doesn't want to end it now. He's going to find a kill, but he's going to be tagged in his rotation back. But he has plenty of HP to fight another day. And there's the man, the myth, the legend, Defiance to get a kill of his own. A round that looked almost certain going in favor of Visionary is back to equal man count. Now HP is in favor of Visionary, the attacking lineup. A frag grenade is going to almost find his target. Sensei's going to take even more damage, but he's going to be unable to be shut down as he finds his second kill in the round. Things are really not looking good for the attacking lineup.
Sensei with a perfect kill. Now this has gone from a solid round from Visionary in the 5-3 to a very unlikely win, and it almost certainly will guarantee us an overtime. A swing coming through from the sledge, but it seems like Sensei is evading the bullets from these last 2 attacker guns. Call will shut down Panic, forces Abadu off the defuse. Lycus Empire take round number 12. We're headed to overtime.
So it's almost the exact opposite of map number 1, where the defenders were not putting themselves in smart places. They were overextending, and now it's the attackers' turn to do exactly that. The attackers, in this case, it's Visionary. They have the man advantage. They have the opportunity of setting up crossfires and forcing Lycus to push into them, but they're skipping that stage. They're basically trying to go for solo engagements. 1v1s are never the optimal play when you have that man advantage. You should always go for those 1v2s. Now, one of the attackers might get fragged out in that scenario, but that's fine. You have the crossfire, so your other attacker almost guarantees that player will be executed. The fact that Visionary is unable to actually utilize that strategy cost them round number 12, and it might cost them overtime.
That's a good point to bring up. Forget, what happened during the early round, and let's just arrive at Visionary 3 to Lycus with 2 men left. They have, the most you could ask for. Somebody out on plat wall holding the rotate and denying the positions from the defense inside of CCTV. But ultimately, you need to take out that player. The whole goal of being on plat wall is to deny the players inside of CCTV itself, but they didn't do that, and Sensei simply won his gunfight. Take a look at that. Our 3rd overtime, the longest being the first map of this series, which was Consulate, which went all of 16 rounds, and now we could be staring down the barrel of another infinite overtime game. It's been a long starting night here. I wasn't expecting to have jumped in. In the back of my mind, I kind of wanted to be here for the opening day, but luckily, I was able to get in on a technicality anyway, so we get to kind of hang out
Attackers
here,
have
me
located
and
a
you,
bomb.
Chief, the, I guess, SCL Grand Finals crew back together for yet another long set of matches.
So I have a fun fact for you. What is the longest overtime rounds we've seen so far? I'm just talking about in general competitive Rainbow Six Siege.
General
bomb has
competitive
been
would
located.
be a CCS match. It was, I believe, Most Wanted, or rather, I know Merc was playing with, I'm not entirely sure. I know it was the CCS match, though, because it was incredibly long. It was longer, in fact, than the Invitational match.
You are absolutely correct, but do you know how many rounds it went? That's the big question.
I think it was 15 to 14.
So it went 32 rounds, almost. And honestly, I don't know if we're going to be seeing that today. We might see another 16. You can see explosions ringing throughout the kitchen bomb site. Visionary is still just struggling with dealing with this top hatch. The problem is there's so many darn impact grenades on the side of Lycus Empire. It's going to be almost impossible to accomplish that goal unless Visionary can get the opening kill.
Well, Visionary moving a bit faster in this round to get the hard breach open. Defiance shut down. He tried to rush back in an impact, but Badger on the perfect coverage. An incredible kill in the impact, sure to be felt for Visionary in attacking this bomb site. Losing Defiance early is a big frag. I think second to the top of our leaderboard here on Lycus. And this is the best situation you could have asked for. Visionary are attacking dirt now. It's certainly not as efficient as what we saw in the round number 7 clear, where they were so fast. Sensei moving up in dirt, maybe trying to retake a little bit. He's gone prone. Free Fires comes out, but he gets a Zofia. Not able to find the second, though, as Panic refrags his teammate's death, and he gets a mute jammer for his troubles. The Maestro from AK's, a risky engagement to be taking, and he gets tagged up from main as well, so you gotta be covering all of your angles. A nade tossed in. Panic, this time with the frags, but he gets a kill onto the Jaeger. Maestro shutting him down with the ult as we hit the 20-second marker.
Here comes the flood into sight, but the ult is going to start to punish it out as Hourly's now at his second kill. Cal is going to tap onto the board. It was another round for Visionary. They had the man advantage. They had the crossfires, but they start to rush the objective with a little bit too much time on the clock, and then they shut themselves down for free. You cannot be skipping steps. 20 seconds is plenty of time to execute. You, in theory, only need 3 seconds. Visionary needs to do their due diligence. They still have time. Don't rush.
The last thing you want to be doing in overtime is playing dangerously, playing risky, going for unnecessary plays, because one round in OT could be the difference maker from your opponent taking the OT match points or going to play more rounds here. I don't have really many expectations. This has been a pretty even game so far. I think we had a 3-2 or a 4-2 half
Attackers need to locate and
for the
defuse bombs.
first stage, and then after the side swap, it was still pretty even. I think maybe coming out with, I guess you could call that a flip-flop, with Lycus taking the majority of the rounds in the first half and then moving on over. But overtime match point is here. Lycus have the advantage, and they have the opportunity to close it out and take the, 4 points total, I believe. That is up for grabs here. Visionary, even if they lose this, they've locked themselves in. They've got 2
10
points.
seconds to insertion.
So, I think 3 is possible for
5
Visionary.
seconds left.
That wouldn't be the worst standing to start us off here. Playday number 1.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Ultimately, what matters now isn't the points. It's not where you get from these positions. It's how you play in what could be our final round. Lycus Empire could close it out here. They're on offense. They've been decent so far. Though, Chief, we've got the Ying.
Well, I'm expecting a full send strategy. They're going to try to maneuver the defense in positions where those Ying Candelas can be actually effective. The problem with Ying on this bomb site is there's a lot of room here, and the Ying Candelas don't cover everything. Well, that's going to be a mistake with one of your Candelas. It's still going to be the outside of the map. Defiance is the only one who's going to get flashed from that. And that means some of your Ying lethality will be shut down for free. It is now Defiance's turn to deal some punishment. He's going to walk his way through Dirt Tunnel, and both these rosters seem hard stuck on dealing with Dirt. Well, the casualties are going to start to mount. Sensei's going to find one. He's going to confirm his down, and this might be a Lycus Empire round if they're able to continue to dish out punishment.
Well, that's what you want attacking Dirt here. Take out the opening engagement, and Maestro, certainly an operator you would like to see gone. The previous round, you'll remember, Maestro, I believe, found a triple kill, gunning absolutely everyone down. I'm pretty sure that was Braction on the Maestro in that round. And removing the Alda is so good on this bomb set, especially when you're going for a combination kitchen drop dirt take, because the Alda has 81 bullets of free fire. I mean, you can just hold down mouse one, make sure that nobody is able to drop the hatch or come in through that door, and you can hit a nice little spray transfer. But Psycho on the Yang takes out Badger, so now you've lost your Goyo, and the man advantage is worse and worse. Lycus Empire taking the 5-3, but we've been in a familiar situation like this one before, where the advantage was 2-up for the attackers in a potential to close it out. Slasher will take out Hourly, however, so the man advantage, like it's established, is starting to fade away.
But the thing is, Lycus Empire still has the utility, and they still have Ying on the board with 2 Candelas and 2 smoke grenades. They can go for a smoke hot drop. They're in the position to do so. They just need to send their drones down range, confirm the location of the defenders, because they have no answer back whatsoever. I think the attackers know this, depending on how passive they're playing. You can see Defiance holding that cross angle. Psycho's going to go for the drop. This is going to confirm that they have the position to go on through. But the problem is Defiance is down, and that means Visionary's turn to light the scoreboard up. Psycho's still going to be tapping away, but the bomb was set down on the ground far earlier, and it's going to be a myriad of kills working its way through for Panics. And that's going to be Visionary tying us up once again.
Well, the overtime will continue, and Lycus Empire not able to close it out just yet. We'll have to go for a few more rounds, and I think with this win from Visionary will mean that we go to a minimum of the 16 rounds, and in fact it will. So another 16 round games in the books here, and it could go even longer should these teams continue to tie it up, fight back and forth. For Clubhouse, I think that's definitely a real possibility. Going into double digits for the individual team round wins, I think would be a bit of a stretch, seeing as we're only on round number 15. That's a few rounds ahead. I'm honestly not sure, though. This could go back and forth. With 15 rounds played in the initial series, going to do some quick math here. Combine that with 14, so that is just nigh of our 30 total rounds played. That's already, approaching the length you would expect from a triple best of 1 or triple best of 3, however you'd like to put that. And it's certainly something to point out, the kind of exhaustion that would begin to set in. I think Defiance is the upper hand, though, being that he's had so many grand finals appearances. Over his experience as a player, he's built up that fortitude, that endurance to hang on, to stay in the fight and not get tired.
And that's probably a phenomenal point to make, right? Especially with some of these, newer players in the competitive Rainbow Six Siege scene. They might struggle in a very long series, and that actually might give Visionary the upper hand. They have experience playing in Canadian Challenger League qualifiers. Now, they weren't able to actually qualify due to a technicality because one of their players were unable to spell their own Uplay, which is a huge blunder in itself. But this is their redemption. This is Visionary's turn to come back from that one mistake. Make a name for yourself here, and then move back over to Canadian Challenger League. Because they have the mechanical skills to do so. This is a brand new roster with some new faces on it. Actually, both these teams are brand new rosters, brand new faces. It's going to take them a little bit of time to come into their own.
A bomb has been located.
More Mav tricking. I think it's moving a bit faster. We've spent a lot of time talking about the speed at which you can get this done. Oh no, the Defiance dies early. a crucial loss here. Badger tagged up as well. That almost was Psycho getting gunned down if the IQ could find a response there. But losing your roamer on such a critical round. Sensei, however, trades it back. 15 kills for him so far in this 15-round series. Shutting down the Maverick will mean so much. The hard-reaching process completely stalled out now. They'll have to rotate the Thermite on over, and Psycho taking a bunch of damage from an Ash breaching round through a drone hole.
A strategy that I don't think Lycus was quite prepared for. The Thermite charge is not going to go off. It's going to be impact tricked away. Well, the Maverick holes work both ways. And unfortunate to Visionary, they're going to lose some of their most important utility. Now, fortunately for them, they still have one Thermite charge in their back pocket. But where's it going to go? It might not matter because Visionary is going to find even more kills in this round. Peg's going to take a little bit of HP off. Hourly's going to finally clean him up. And once again, both these teams are going back to force. It seems like nobody has an answer whatsoever.
A lot of these rounds have come down to 3v3, 3v2 execute in the last minute of play. And this one is no different. Badger, a little bit worse for wear, though. On the G8, it almost doesn't matter what health you're at because that gun shoots so fast, it hits so hard that, you know, if you just get a tiny sliver of advantage of surprise over your opponents, that could mean their death. And that's really why it's so much of an impactful gun in ranked, because you just sprint into the bomb site, you're ready to kill everyone. And Badger has proved that here on Clubhouse as well as on Consulate when you got that 3K, or rather I think it was a quad attacking the basement. But the plant is beginning. Badger on the coverage out on the window, Avenue moving off. A Nitro Cell sails out, but he doesn't even need it because Hourly holding from the top red. Badger shuts down Call, and now it's an aggressive move on up. The Maestro still trying to peek. Slasher's got to reload. There's so many players to counter. Sensei goes down, and almost a Maestro. Slasher with 2 kills. Visionary take the lead.
Whoa, both these teams are jab cross, hook crossing each other, and it's this turn, it's going to be Visionary winning these engagements. Slasher holding his down player as the bomb was going down perfectly. And the thing was, Lycus Empire did not push together. They pushed as individuals, giving that covering fire, well, 1v1 engagements. That's something you can never do. And something we've been talking about in this entire series. When you have the man advantage, even though it's only for a few seconds, you have to push together, because if you don't, that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to see back and forth engagements for Zofia, and it's going to be a round blundered away.
This is an unfortunate loss here for Sensei, having disconnected on match point. Now Lycus suffer just such a terrible fate. I mean, now they're down early. Sensei, you could not have asked for a worse player to lose. He's their top fragger. We're going to go to a rehost, though, so we've got the call-outs. The best admins here at SCS make the decision, and we're going to be going to a short little break so we can have the most competitive matchup. Got to keep that integrity up, and you don't want to see a 4v5 off the rip.
So that was Visionary calling the rehost. Good camaraderie there. I love to see it. Everybody wants to see competition. That's what we're here for at the end of the day. And sure, they could have just said, hey, you use your T rehost. You're just going to have to deal with your player crashing on the black screen, and you're just going to have to 4v5 that. Honestly, I love to see teams working together, because at the end of the day, we just want to see a victor.
You know what, Chief? I really agree with you there. Sorry to cut you off, Salco. But
no, you're good. You're good.
The good sportsmanship, the camaraderie is so commendable to, you know, have your rehost. You know, you could have needed that in a future round, but they're going to say, no, we're calling the rehost. We want to play you at your full strength.
Yeah, just sort of bouncing off of that, I think it's a side effect of honestly everybody being through the same craziness that was the qualifiers this year. You know, I mean, they all fought really hard to get into this league, and so now they all know that let's just play it out. You know, let's have a good time while we're doing it. Let's have really good competition, and you know, if you can give your teammate, or not teammate, but you know, your opponent a rehost to ensure that you're going to have that same level of competition and be fair about it, I think that's honestly a really admirable thing to do. But yeah, so far this game has been insane. 3 out of our 4 maps today have gone to OT, and I couldn't be happier with it. I know being our observer is starting to get a little bit weary, and I'm sure you guys probably are too. You've been casting for so long, and Sticula came out of nowhere. into this cast today. So thank you again for that. But my lord, I've been loving every minute of watching you guys for sure.
I mean, it's been a fun series with great players, great teams, and they're showing that they can compete at some of the highest T3 levels. And that's the beauty about these rosters. They've been competing for so long, and they're all coming together. Even though they're brand, air quotes, brand new rosters with new faces on it, they're showing that they can synergize perfectly.
That's the perfect way to put it. I guess we can spend this time talking about, what has transpired so far in this match. It's been much more even. I mean, Consulate had a crazy percentage of attacker won rounds. I think, if my math is right, no more than 5 defensive wins in that 16-round match, which is an incredible ratio. And Clubhouse has been, I guess, a little bit more even. I think we saw 4-2 splits for each of the first halves, and now as we head into overtime, things are a bit uncertain, and it's more of a kind of any man's game. You can fight, you can take rounds, and there's more pressure, certainly. There's always pressure to perform on game day, but in OT, when the difference between, taking your 2 points or going home with just 1 is so much more evident. And that's really what I like the most about being in SCS here, or not the most. There's a lot to like. It's one important contributing factor of why I enjoy being here. It's the fact that this series, the points you could earn here, it's not, a toss-up. It's not you take it all or nothing. You can get 2. You fought hard to play through from overtime. Your opponent showed up and they performed well in tandem. But you, as, the team, say you're down here. Visionary just 1 round prior. It was Lycus Empire being up with the opportunity to close it out. Visionary, no, they fought it back. Even though the plant was down, they were able to retake their bomb site and just completely shut things down, because that momentum, the morale for them to win this round, to get their full 2 points, is still here, and they're still fighting. Check it out. Look at that awesome kill feed. Just everyone gunning inside of logistics. That was such a very incredible round.
So both of us smile at exactly that engagement, right? We know what's going to happen, and it's just as good the second time. But I cut you off in the middle of a point, so I'll let you continue.
I just wanted to reinforce the point of, the point system here is really almost unrivaled. There has been a lot of discussion recently, with Ubisoft operating all of their various leagues on different kind of match structures, but I think SCS has found almost the perfect mix. You're obviously never going to be able to, satisfy everyone. I think all of the comp players would probably want, best of 3s for every match, because that's the format with the most competitive integrity. That would make sense. But the issue with best of 3s is they can drag on for so long. And, a best of 2, I think, is the perfect mix. It's what we've seen a lot in LATAM, though they've ran a bit different of a structure. But we're back to head more into the action, so we can figure out who will be our victor for Clubhouse, the second map of our second game of the evening.
And here we go. Everybody loves OT. We're going to continue to dive on through here in round 16. And it's Visionary's turn. Once again, they have the lead, and they're going over to defense. What are they going to do to guarantee their victory? They're going to have to answer Defiance aggression. They're going to have to create a strategy to shut him down. Now, he's on attack back on his primary operator, which is Zofia. But the thing is, he's constantly wide swinging corners, getting aggressive, all off information. So you're going to bring out a strategy to deny information, and there's that strategy on Gym Bedroom. It is going to be an information denial strategy.
Yeah, and so I wonder how this is going to play out. Obviously, when you've got the castle, the mute, the Jaeger, the Maestro, that makes me think we're going to be seeing the cache extension, which has been a stumbling block for some teams in this game so far. Specifically, the round we saw just then during the replay where everyone funneled in through logistics and got absolutely massacred. You don't want to repeat that and have it play out for a second time. But ultimately, I think it comes down to how Lycus Empire attempt to defeat it. What are they doing to shut down the extension? If we do see it, I guess it's not fully guaranteed. I would expect them to go for it, but maybe we'll see them play a bit more of a standard turtle.
but the standard turtle didn't really work out that well. It's actually the extension over to the east side of the map that was really well worked out for them. And the thing was, they're also at the man disadvantage, so you can't even say it worked out well for them at all. We especially saw round number 3, where we just saw just a myriad of kills work its way through for Visionary, because Lycus Empire was just skipping steps. They had the man advantage, and they panicked when they saw the clock. They saw 20 seconds left in this round, and they realized, oh crap, we just need to go. We just need to push our way through the bomb site. They did a quadruple stack into Logi, and the only thing they met was lead. And it's going to be Panic's turn. He's going to be trying to do a Defiance impression, as he's going to be attempting for a run out, but thinking better about that decision.
Defiance is, he's had some luck in his runouts in the past, though I would hope he tries to play this a bit more conservatively. I don't know, because Defiance is a player where you've got a lot of risk to put up, because Defiance on site as an anchor could frag out, but he could also completely change the course of the round if he goes for an aggressive play, depending solely on the fact of whether or not he's successful.
That's a great card. It's the opportunity cost of being aggressive, I guess, is kind of the way of looking at it, right? Where Defiance, he can get aggressive, and he provides a lot without actually getting a kill, because his early aggression is going to be wasting time, usually utility from the attackers, and potentially HP, if nothing more. And a kill is just an extra resource, technically, that's going to allow them to get, well, more aggressive, and it's going to allow Defiance to do more Defiance-y things. You can see a lot of utility being utilized by Lycus Empire, coupled with those X-Cairo pellets on this construction wall, but it's a forced melee because it's being muted away. The utility by Lycus Empire being shut down for free might cost them, but the man we keep highlighting, Defiance, is going to find the opening kill.
It's a great way to start things off here. Defiance with the opener, shutting down Slasher. A really good fragger for Visionary. To see him die early gives Lycus Empire hopes that we can send this to round number 17 and 18 of overtime and break the record for the longest game today. And it certainly could happen. This has been really exciting. I'm glad that my first game I've ever cast with Infinite Overtime has gone to Infinite Overtime in both of our matches, and beyond, you know, ending simply with just a kind of normal score that you would see. No, we're headed to round number 16 here. Already had round number 16 on the first round. A nade tossed out, almost a martyrdom there from Sensei, but luckily Badger able to dodge away. Abadu taking out call as well, shifts the man advantage in favor of the defense, but ultimately that's been something of no consequence. Defiance with another one. Vigil hiding in the corner. He tried to play the trigger discipline game. Unfortunate, though, he was not successful, and that's Lycus Empire back in power. Now they're up in the advantage. Defiance admittedly a bit low for HP, but the same is said for Mai. And now the site flood begins. Control a bathroom and the diffuser going down. Defiance on a triple kill. A great spray transfer from Abadu nets him 2 kills. The dueling triple threats. Hourly now playing passive, the diffuser sitting and waiting. The Maestro on such low health, and this could mean so much in terms of the difference. Abadu could attempt the ninja defuse, but more time he spends trying to decide what he wants to do. No, he moves on in, but the perfect position from Hourly hiding behind the box. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 2 more rounds of Infinite Overtime.
And the problem was Visionary was far too aggressive. They put themselves on islands there waiting for Lycus to walk their way through, but a whiff shots from Visionary is going to cost them their life. And Defiance, well, he didn't say it with as much tact, but he does point it out, a huge blunder from Visionary. They should have been able to win that round, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, your hands start to shake, your palms get a little bit sweaty, and you're just unable to hit your shots. And it's going to be an additional 2 rounds, and one of these rosters might find themselves at 10-8.
Honestly, just the way that this game is going, the back and forth nature almost makes me think we're going to go to OT3. That's the way it feels for me. I mean, Lycus Empire have had some incredibly dominant rounds. Some of them have been, you know, flawless, like we saw on Consulate. Their attacks were so on point. And the same can be said from Visionary. They've had some insanely clutch moments. They've been, negative in the man advantage just to rip it back and still win regardless. And that's the big factor in this game. There is no end in sight. And at any moment, despite a man advantage, it could be 5-3. And things will change in a heartbeat.
And the strategy that's going to be changing, well, it's not going to be much of a change. It's going to be Defiance. He's going to be somewhere off site trying to get free kills. And the thing is, Visionary is constantly skipping steps on attack. They're not doing their due diligence with their roam clear. That's why I always recommend teams just do the DZ style clear. It takes a lot of time, but it's a guaranteed way of dealing with off-site pressure. And actually, Visionary is going to make that adaptation. They're going to be starting to clear from strip as well as that top floor. Defiance is currently there. He has the opportunity of sniping away a drone and then rotating it to a new location. His position will be confirmed as of now.
Still trying to wind back the clock and follow what we've seen this game so far, because it's just been, action round after action round. But the basement. This is the site I think we've seen the most so far. I've got it down as round 1, 4, 5, 7, 8, 11, 13, 14, and now 17. That's so much basement, so much church and arsenal, and a great opening frag. Defiance got Slasher last round, but this time it goes the other way. And your roamer dead early is an excellent beginner frag, taking out the Vigil. One more concern that you don't have to let occupy your mind.
The next step for the attackers is to start to open up kitchen. You need as many lines of sight as possible, especially if you're going to be going for a north plant, where we've seen both of these attacking rosters elect to do so. And look, working his way down the central stairs, that is going to be Panic. He's in a prime position to go for an Ash Wall rush. That's why they call it Ash Wall after all. But he's going to be thinking about the decision. He's going to be thinking better. He's going to be rejoining his teammates and try to go for this execute. But do they have enough time? 70 seconds and not enough soft destruction as of yet.
Just as we saw on Consulate, there has been very few plants so far. A lot of attempts, a lot of really close ones. But ultimately, I think in more rounds, the diffuser has been denied by the defense and it's actually been successfully planted. One round that sticks out to me as a big one for the diffuser having gone down was number 7. It was on this very same bomb site, and it was in the round where Visionary were able to rush dirt and take it so quickly. But this round, much slower. Yes, they've got the opener. They've been able to shut down Defiance, but that's traded back. And Call now shuts down Panic. Slasher and Abadu, however, have got plenty of kills to flood the board, but an excellent response from Lycus. 4 kills, 2 for Sensei, 2 for Call. Lycus Empire take round 17.
Well, we're highlighting utilizing vertical destruction from the attackers, and they didn't do their due diligence. How do you know that? Well, Lycus Empire was still able to be an armory. They're able to comfortably wide swing the boxes and get aggressive. We're talking about Visionary making mistakes, and while they're the legacy roster here, they do have a lot of experience playing in different leagues and playing these long games where mental fortitude is a key factor. But we're going to see this amazing slurry of kills coming in and just, well, people hitting their shots, and that's exactly what LE is currently doing.
It's been really odd. Like, some of these rounds, there's so much guesswork involved. Like, you can do all your predictions. You can say, they've got man advantage, they've got X, Y, and Z utility remaining, they've got the health advantage, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. Sometimes, there's people on Lycus who show up in a round and they win their engagements. And that's such a big factor, I think, to why OT has gone on for so long, approaching double digits should Lycus Empire take this next round. And it's really surprising to me. It's kind of a weird unknown quantity. I think Visionary have been a little bit sloppy in some of their attacks. This is a point that you talked about. sometimes when they have an early advantage, there's just something that goes wrong and they squander it. They don't know, after taking out somebody early where to go from there, and they will try to push on the site, but it doesn't seem like they know what to do once they've got the man advantage. They don't know how to utilize that as leverage against the remaining Lycus defenders. And it also could be Lycus Empire just having a lot of individually very skilled players.
And we've talked about rosters like the former Homeland team. When their strategies would fail, they would just win their engagements. That was one of their strongest assets, where they would create these huge, grandiose strategies, and sometimes they would just not work. So you'd have to rely on your mechanical skill, and fortunately for them, they were a gifted team and a gifted roster, so that was something they could do. Lycus Empire is trying to channel in their homeland. They're trying to utilize that. They understand that sometimes strategies just don't work out, so you need a contingency plan. And for a lot of rosters, their contingency plan is just rushing, but for Lycus Empire, the contingency plan is winning 1v1s.
Well, another opening kill here for Lycus Empire this time. The offense doing much better, cutting down my early. It's a Nitro Cell off the board. Definitely something to write home about. And this looks like Lycus Empire are perfectly positioned to get really aggressive. Now that they know they've taken out the mute early and approaching this gunfight, take a second on main stairs. They've set themselves up so well, but I almost, kind of am afraid to say that, because in rounds where it seems like the advantage is very clear to one side, things in the end have, tended to be more of a toss-up. And I think, you know what, Chief, that's exactly the way this will go. Badger with an excellent refrag shuts down Defiance, and that's the risk of holding the rappel angle close on the platform. You leave yourself very weak to an experienced player and a very well-executed refire.
I think Badger wants to go home for his team, but he wants to bring the trophies. He's going to try to bring that man count just close to even. He's still going to have to find one more kill, but fortunately he has some strong guns still alive and active. Now, Lycus Empire, it is imperative that they use their man advantage to good use, setting up their crossfires and punishing the defenders for getting far too aggressive. But Badger has rotated to the bottom. He's over in stocks. This could be a huge oversight for the attackers, since he still has a Nitro Cell in play. That is a lot of plant denial on the table, and if there are no flank drones to confirm his location, it's going to be a free kill. But he just threw something. That's a preset Nitro, so the rush comes on through. It's not going to be an if. The rush is happening right now. It's just one lone member, just Badger. He's going to have to find 4 kills. He's going to find 1, but unable to land anymore. It is Lycus Empire winning this series. Double overtime, triple overtime, it doesn't matter to this roster. They're able to secure the bag.
They got it. It took, 18 rounds. They fought hard through every single one of them, but ultimately they triumph in our final to take all 4 points, and they damn well deserved them. They fought so hard through every single round of overtime, and so to see them triumph and take it 10-8 is incredible. Wow, I'm just stunned just because of how long that game went on, how hard fought it was. Neither team ever gave up and fought until the end.
That was just complete and utter pandemonium, especially in the round before last round, I would say. But oh my lord, both teams fought so well. I can't count, honestly. These games went on so long, and I just didn't know how to count. I think it was round number 17 where it happened, but oh my lord. Like I was saying, both teams, GG's to you. I mean, for both teams to last this long and still go shot for shot with each other, not getting tired, overcoming everything to be able to push it to 18 rounds, insane, phenomenal job. So I know for sure we're going to be potentially getting an interview here from Lycus very shortly, because after all that, they deserve it. But in any case, guys, what's your takeaways from today before that happens?
Just mechanical skill, teams winning gunfights, teams skipping steps, I think is going to be, well, how you win and lose series. Moving forward, again, both these rosters are brand new, so they're going to learn from today's lessons, whether it was a positive lesson or a negative lesson. They're going to create a new strategy moving forward, and they're going to build synergy for week number 2.
Yeah, honestly, that's really my opinion as well. Fighting for Playday #1, going to full overtime, 16 rounds in our first map, 18 in our second. That is certainly an experience. It really trains you. I mean, heading into Playday 2, it's like playing, a full set of scrims. You get to know your enemy team inside and out, every single, strat. They put everything on the table. It was all shown today. And that this was well beyond my expectations coming into this, and it's great to see these teams fight really hard. I was hoping in our first series that it would have been similar to this. Unfortunate for first attempt, they could not muster up overtime for both maps and ultimately did fall, but this game proved to be really an awesome display of this individual skills. But we've got our interview now, so we'll head over to that.
It is the man that's constantly on the roam, the man that nobody can shut down, Defiance. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the party. Did you expect double overtime today in this series?
Yeah, actually, we did a roster swap like less than 24 hours ago, so obviously we have no practice with the 2 new players, so it kind of makes sense that they're a good team. Visionary did really well. Like they put up some good rounds, had some good attacks, but they played too slow at the end, and they were scared to win. That's what made us win.
So they also had our new member of their roster too. So both of you basically made roster changes in the past 20 to 48 hours. So I think this was my favorite game, probably the entire week, just simply because it was so many unknown entities.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Now, Stickler, I know you have a lot of questions over there, so I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right, well, I guess I'll go ahead and flip over my notes so we can start off on Consulate. It was incredibly attacker-sided. What do you think contributed the most to that? Because we saw in both halves, it went 5-1 to the attacking team, and as soon as we hit overtime, it was a bit more back and forth, and you can chalk that up probably to the momentum shifting. Once you're in OT, there's more of a drive to win because you're, only standing 2 rounds away. What do you think contributed the most to that? Is it something to do with specifically Consulate that makes it really attacker-sided?
Yeah, Consulate is just a attacker-sided map. No matter what the bans go, even if we have Nomad, it's so hard to counter like 5 people on windows and just holding angles, because they pressure you enough where they use utility and they push you out of locations that you just lose man body, and then after that they can just execute on site against a 5v3 most of the time.
A lot of times it felt like during some of the Lycus defenses, you guys struggled with the roam. I know specifically there was rounds where it just seemed like, it would start off, somebody would go upstairs, and then they would die without much more to say. Was that something you guys really thought about well and tried to maybe change up, maybe bring operators that would help you out and play more on the roam and stall things out? It didn't seem like you guys were really keen to invest too much utility in the top floor hold, which is a big decision to make between different kind of doctrines of play for Consulate, whether or not you want to try to turtle down and have a bit of a roam or play with full extensions. What was your kind of mindset in the strategy as you played?
Well, obviously we came in fresh, so we'd never played this map before. Even with old Lycus, like with Beezer and Search, we've never played Consulate, so it came off new. Brack was calling like more advanced strats, and our main job on the roam was Brack and Psycho were supposed to back off really quickly with drones, but they were able to play on a lot of windows and cut off the fallback, because we're not supposed to be playing utility up there, because we're just supposed to be getting drones and falling back, so when they execute they don't have no intel on us. Yeah.
The window play was certainly something that you guys seemed to struggle a little bit with. There was this was something me and Chief talked about, kind of the difference between you guys starting off early in the roam and falling back successfully versus other rounds where you got caught out on the flank. Do you think things might have gone differently and maybe the game would have been more defender-sided if you guys were prepared to execute larger roams?
Yeah, if we set up maybe a mute in bathroom and did a mute bathroom and then have me solo roaming like I did near the end of the game, I said, hey, let me just solo roam. I'm gonna get my picks. I'm gonna kill them, and then they can waste their time trying to execute at like 30 seconds left. And maybe that would have helped more. We'll see. We're gonna do scrims. We're gonna practice, and then CCS calls is coming up. So, we'll see there.
That's true. So moving on from Consulate, coming into Clubhouse, what were your thoughts, moving into a new map? I know you guys are personally a really strong Clubhouse team. This is something you and I have talked about, and you displayed it in your most recent AEL match. What did you have to change compared to, the Clubhouse of old, obviously coming in with a new roster?
There's not much we changed in strat-wise because Clubhouse is very generic. It's mostly the gun skill that changed and the positioning and the awareness of players. Like, you saw many rounds, Cal was able to clutch in positions that were opened up by other teammates. Like, he clutched from dirt and, like, pushing Arsenal late round so many times I can't even count. It's just the positioning, and also I changed up how I roamed a bit. Sometimes I got caught off guard because I played it too dumb to say, but most of the time I'm just getting drones. One round, like the round I died, which was dumb, that near the end, I still was able to get 6 drones off roam, and they had a minute 30 to execute with 4 drones. Like, that's not helpful for them. They can't drone out all the players in sight.
No, it's very difficult to pull off successfully, and that was pretty evident. One thing that Chief and I talked about, and I was kind of frustrated by this, is in a lot of your CCTV defenses, you play in strip club, and it seems like no team is able to figure this out. It never comes to mind to look back at a VOD and look at a CCTV defense and figure out where Defiance roams at, because it's in strip club every single time. And
honestly,
sorry if
no
I'm
team.
ratting you out a little bit here, but ultimately, what was the thought there? One thing I wanted to ask about, this is more of a specific question with relation to your strip club roam. Were you more hesitant to do it after the second time you roamed and you got nailed off of an attempted spawn peek at Walkers?
I didn't feel like that we just had to make a play because Master we were pretty much screwed on our setup, and like Maverick on board, if they break Jacuzzi and then they can just Maverick bathroom and they win the round. So we decided, hey, let's make a play. Psycho tried to spawn peek and so did I. That spawn peek didn't work out well because in my perspective, I didn't see him peek at all. Like, sure, he one-tapped me, good for him, but like I didn't see him, so I can't even fight back on that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we saw. There was something in the way, and he crouched under it and kind of evaded you, and things happen. That's one of the risks you do take with a spawn kill, getting just slammed off of an unsuspecting angle. Ultimately, though, that's all the questions I've got for your individual play, your roam. How did things change heading into overtime? Because it seemed like a lot of rounds there was a man-up situation. It would be like 5-3. The attacking team would, in a lot of times, have that advantage, and then once they would begin their execute, the defense would kind of find a frag here or there to even it out, and a lot of times, during OT at least, it would go the way of the defense, no matter what advantage the attackers had. Was that something you think was more signifying largely of how Clubhouse plays, or was that maybe an error on the part of Visionary?
I think that's the error on their team because they gave too many picks when they shouldn't have. They need to execute with refrags, and they were giving us 1-for-1 picks, like especially when they push Moto or main hall. They always put one person there with no refrag potential. So like we could have a mute swinging Moto, and that's a free kill on whoever was playing there. We have a Nitrocell over top main, and they can't counter that either. And then after we have those 3v4 or 4v4, defense normally wins on Clubhouse at that point because they already have. They knew plant, so that's already one man down. And then after that, there's like common plants.
One final question. I think it was during. I'm looking at my notes. I can't figure out exactly which round it was. A basement defense, and they thermited open the church wall, which is not something that happens very commonly, at least in modern day. And you as the Vigil attempted to swing out, and I think you kind of got unlucky that the thermite was waiting there.
Yeah.
It looked almost like you were going to be able to take him out in the IQ as well, but was that kind of just like a, oh, I don't want to say that. Oh, they're
It
about
was
to
a YOLO
execute.
play. Yeah.
It was a YOLO play. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Well,
After that, we played mute, and then yeah.
all right. Well, that's about all the questions that I've got to you. Before I go ahead and send us off to analysts, is there anyone you'd like to shout out? Anything you'd like to say to maybe your fans, supporters, anything like that?
Well, thank you everyone who came out. Thank you to Lycus Empire for picking us up, and you guys will see us perform way better next SCS.
All right. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. Congratulations on your win, Defiance. Thanks for the interview and great job today.
No problem.
Take care,
Goodbye.
my friend. Cheers.
All right. Well, that's all from us casters tonight. Obviously, my name is Sticula, joined by Chief. We'll be heading to our analysts, so they've got a few things to say, so expect them.
Bye-bye, chat.
Bye.
Thank you. Stay safe. Stay well. We'll be back with you next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I love it. I love it. Honestly, this game was just a very back and forth, just kind of game. They were evenly matched. I know Lycus ended up winning both maps, but the match was crazy. It was just crazy, and I always say it's crazy. I love it. I love seeing these two teams play. It was phenomenal. Your thoughts, Spawn?
Oh man, you've heard a lot of my thoughts so far, but it was such a back and forth game. I think this was one of those games where some rounds we really saw the teams kind of breaking down the other strategies, really calling a lot of things out, and a lot of them were just swung or be swung. Like the rounds really went to who got the opening kills, who won out at the gunfights. It was one of those matches that is very rare to see on Clubhouse, especially is that the Clubhouse is one of those matches or one of those maps that can come in a lot of stages. Like for attacking CC, you try and get control, you try and get west side control, you try and push into construction, you try and get the split push from either that CC wall, a push from garage. This game played out so much differently. I mean, we had some times where, they would Lycus would just drop the they would all just drop the control hatch and bam. It was just like a spin cycle. Like it would just be all the kills from the likes of Visionary, or it would just be Visionary over peaking everything or just trying to force those kills, and it was just so back and forth. It was played just about like I think the best way that I can put it is it was played in every single way we've seen Siege played. Swing or be swung, very strategically broken down, a lot of intel, not a lot of intel. It went back and forth with all the different play styles every round. It was a very exciting match, to say the least.
Swing or be swung is a perfect way I'd put it as well. One thing that I do want to highlight is the fact that Defiance, usually for all of my time I've seen him, or for most of the games I've seen him, he's always the one getting those opening kills. But in this map, I guess the only way to put it is as Yusuke said it. Defiance and opening death, name a better duo. It was crazy. I'm so used to seeing Defiance getting those opening frags and not the opposite. I think I phrased that right. I don't Go ahead.
Defiance had definitely a double-sided. So it was definitely what's the saying? A two-sided two-edged sword, double-edged sword. We look at Defiance right here. He's going to be going for the spawn peak. Doesn't get it, but he had the most amount of opening kills at 4, but then had the most amount of opening deaths at 6. He really was getting super aggressive in the early round. Wasn't panning out for him the same way it had on Consulate, but I loved that early round aggression, and he was really trying. It was by about halfway through the match, they had already sat through 16 rounds on Consulate. They were trying to get that early aggression, trying to take off as much utility on the board as they could, try and delay the attack as much, force them to clear out Strip Club, as I know Sticula was talking about before. About half the time it worked out, half the time it didn't, but definitely the name of the game was early round aggression for Defiance.
Yeah, and I do want to say that some of these matches, or some of these rounds, my bad, they like so quick before, like, I don't know, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'd say. It was just a 5v3 from either side having the advantage, and I like that round in round 10 where Defiance and Psycho ended up dying before 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I believe in the interview, Defiance said that they messed up something and they had to force a play, which good for them. It was a good call. But it was just crazy to see Lycus 2 minutes and 45 seconds into the match already down 2 players.
Yeah, and something that was big too is that even though there were man advantages, man disadvantages, it could have swung either way. I mean, we didn't see one team really capitalizing off of the man advantage, man disadvantage the entire time. I mean, this match or this round in particular, I mean, we see in the end here in those last few seconds, a flurry of kills comes in, and even though Lycus had lost the initial had lost that initial engagement and we're down 5-3, it could have swung back if they hit more shots than Visionary had. That would have been it. And it was just one of those. It probably was one of the most exciting matches I've actually seen throughout competitive play, just because of how gritty it was. And I mean, honestly, they played the equivalency of of a full best of 3 between 3 maps in just 2 maps in a best of 2. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah. I mean, I already knew that this could be a good match because Visionary and Lycus were one of the top teams in the or in the open quals and in the closed quals. It was just I knew from the beginning it was going to be an exciting match, and I don't regret seeing the OT. I want to see Infinite OT because it's so beneficial for me. Just I'm also breaking down the game, but as a viewer as well, I don't know how to phrase it. It makes my heart go happy.
It's definitely a very satisfying match to watch. It's something that keeps you on the edge of your seats. It's entertaining. And that's exactly what we're here to do. And an absolutely great match. It gives me some final vibes, but I think that's all the time we're gonna have for today, chat. I think we're gonna have to get going. A great opening day, 2 great matches. The Lycus Empire Visionary match. I'm telling you, these are gonna be 2 of the top teams moving forward. Getting that on the first day, it's just gonna open up to a great season.
Hey, and don't forget, come back tomorrow.